怒りを叫べ悲しみを叫べ魂を叫べ今ここで叫べ
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Yokai Delinquents podcast. I am Sean, Bearded Cappolitan.
And I am Jerry Robo Tengu Smith. How you doing this week, Sean?
I'm doing great. Actually, I've been doing good for the past few days because this is one of mine, if not, I'm sure, as well as yours, favorite time of the year.
Oh, yes, the good old anniversary.
The anniversary of the peak of our lives. We'll never do better.
It never gets better than this.
It will. I say as later in that same year I got married, but she knows her rankings.
Yeah, I was actually telling somebody, and it's the funniest thing. Like I was telling somebody, like, oh, who'd you go to Japan with, or why'd you go to Japan? Yeah. And it reminded me, it's like, oh, this was a wedding present.
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was, and she just sadly wasn't able to go. Honestly, that's really why. Yeah. But so that is this week, as a time of recording, was is our favorite time of the year because Facebook memories pop up. Our trip from 4 years ago, we're just riding that high still of when we got to go to Japan for the first and so far only time.
Yeah, it's literally one of my favorite times because it's one of the few times that Facebook doesn't remind me of some dumb shit that I said back in 2009. So that's always a solid for me.
Never a bad thing. I know I've got some 10-plus-year-old posts. I'm like, yeah, I know where that was coming from, and I'm not sharing that. but yeah, so 4 years ago, and we've mentioned before on the show that we've been to Japan, but yeah, my buddy Brian, who up until the world went to shit, regularly visits Japan. And 1 year, he surprised me at A-Kon. I remember, which I was really glad he told me on like day one, because I hadn't spent a lot of money, that he was covering a large chunk of my expenses to get there. And, let's try to say it. All right, he paid my room and board and my flight. He paid damn near everything. He said, you just need food and fun money. I'm like, fuck, I can do that. Because it was, like, that was, A-Kon was in the summer, like in June or July. So, like, I had from July till February to save up money. And we were doing conventions where I was still selling art. So, dude, I saved every fucking penny. I don't think I bought very much of anything after that at A-Kon that year. And he I got with you, and you saved up. I'm sure you worked that tip money from Subway as best as you could.
Yes, in tips, I wore my skimpiest cargo shorts store. Had to get them tips.
Yeah, and I still like even with, like I said, saving money, and I took out a credit card specifically for this trip. Nothing was going to stop me from having in my mind, and so far, sadly, still true, my only time I'm ever going to go to Japan. But
we'll get out there again. But yes, I also got a credit card before we went on this trip, specifically for this trip.
Oh yeah, and I mean, first, like, okay, and what we want to do today for y'all is just kind of reminisce on the journey. For those watching the YouTube version, we have a huge slideshow of just a taste of the photos we took out there, and for y'all to enjoy, and for those listening on our Spotify or any other of the ways you may have accessed this show, I highly recommend you check out the Yokai Delinquents podcast YouTube channel so you can see a lot of the pictures that we're going to be making references to as we take you on this journey with us.
Yes, we have visual aids to just kind of expand your knowledge of what we're talking about and what the shit we're saying. So,
right. And of course there are pictures of us in the picture, so we ain't lying. But
we actually are real people.
We are real people that really went to Japan. And so
this is no Photoshop, no CGI. We were actually there.
Yeah, because I'm nowhere near talented enough to do anything actual Photoshop. But so starting from like the beginning here, we had before we ever got to Japan, we had a hell of a drive.
Oh yes, yeah. No, that I love telling people to start off with that because you already think of like, oh, the flight from the U.S. to Japan is already hell long, so you're like, oh, what's the fastest way? Oh, fly from where we are to like California and then fly straight to Tokyo, right?
Right.
No, the way we did it is we flew from freaking Arkansas, or no, we drove from Arkansas to Chicago and then flew from fucking Chicago to Tokyo,
Yeah.
which I imagine was probably a really like beneficial and money saving. But man, that was a long 2 days of travel, you guys.
Yeah, because yeah, it was about an 11-hour drive.
Yeah.
And I still very hesitant about driving outside my comfort zone, admittedly.
Hmm.
Plus, we left
Hmm.
at like what, like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm not an
Yeah.
overnight guy,
Or
so
a morning person.
or much of a morning person, especially like driving. I admittedly
Right.
a little nervous, but I tried to be the best wingman and just stay up and
Hmm.
talk to y'all. And you, yeah, we had a great chats, and then you took, and you and Brian switched between each other to take
Hmm.
turns driving. And I mean, it
Yeah.
was a good trip. And then we realized what Chicago felt like at like 6 in the morning or or late night by the time we got there. And it
Yeah.
was the middle of February, and I stepped
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
because like Arkansas
Yeah.
February. You know what? I'm that guy. I'm that guy that wears the hoodie and the shorts year
Hmm.
round, even in light snow. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I had that ready for my, to be comfortable on a long flight. And I stepped out that our car, and I'm like, I regret my choices in life because that
You were
Chicago air
wearing
hit hard.
shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like in like the teens or 20s. You were just like, this is brisk.
oh yeah, it was bad. Then we got to O'Hare, and we were super early to our flight, and we chilled out. We had a good, we chilled, we relaxed. We're like, yeah, dude, we brought our 3DSs. We're totally gonna play this the entire time flying to Japan, and yeah, and then we finally got on our plane, and
Yes.
I hadn't been on a plane since I was a kid at that point.
Oh, I mean, I'm pretty sure. No, there was a Navy graduation, and it was kind of funny because I actually flew into Chicago for that.
Oh, nice.
So there was in my adult life that was the only other flight that I took. Never
Right.
anything this like just wild and insane.
Right. And again, preferencing all accommodations because I'm going to complain about some things. Don't mistake that for not being appreciative. Whatever choices
Yeah.
Brian had to make this happen and make it within his affordability, I was not
Oh, yeah.
bitching. So
Yeah.
we were in coach, don't care. We got a
Yeah.
two-seater aisle. It was just us, so we got to be nice and close to each other. I
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
and you gave me the window seat, which
Hmm.
was great. And I don't know if it would have made a difference, but like, here's the thing. Like again, I hadn't been on a plane since I was a kid, and as a kid, I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to touch anything. I just got to sit there and whatever. So I didn't know how to turn on the air vent, to blow some cool air on me, because that 11-hour flight was misery for me.
Oh yeah.
I was
You should
melting.
have said something.
I you were sleeping somehow amazingly. You were
Dude, I don't know when you saw me sleeping. I sleep like ass in a bed. Like I tried as hard as I could on that flight. I probably would have like maybe rested a little bit, but I don't know if I ever got a solid amount of sleep on that.
Oh no,
It was rough.
I may have nodded off because like I had a neck pillow,
Yeah.
but I ended up having
Yeah.
to shove that in my lower back for that chair, for the
Oh
seating
yeah.
because that was
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Nor did I know how to like adjust it so it's not straight up vertical.
Mhm.
But again, that's just my lack of knowledge of airplanes. My and so I'm just milking whatever ice they would give us in those tiny cups, just trying to see it cool. Yeah, watching whatever I could, and we were like, "Do you want to play Monster Hunter?" I'm like, "Nah." Like, yeah, and we broke them out. I'm like, I'm nodding off while we're playing. Like, okay, we'll just get some
Yeah.
sleep then, and then I can't fall fucking asleep, you know. So we're watching movies. You're at one point you had the TV tray out, and like your skinny ass was just like folded over. Whether you were sleeping or not, you at one point you had your head down, arms crossed, like you're sleeping at school on a desk. and,
Man,
and I'm so
yeah, it's
envious
so
of you.
rough.
And I'm just sitting there leaning against the window, trying not to sweat my ass off, and sorry, like because I'm melting in there. And we got some, but
Mhm.
that's my like that was I didn't know, and nor did I ask. you But beyond that, though, like we had it was a Japanese flight, so we had Japanese meals, which were really good.
Yes.
And like we had Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and I loved that because I was melting. And bro, I will tell you, like, do you have any other thoughts about before we like land or anything? Was there
No,
anything
no,
else on there?
no. It was really dope. It was like, I think honestly, because it'd been so long since I was actually on a plane before then, that I'd never really been on a plane that had a screen so you could watch movies and stuff.
Right.
It was really cool that you could go in and see the map of
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah.
Though at times that did make it like last way fucking longer because I would look at it and I'm like, oh, we've barely even gotten over the ocean. Okay.
I know, like you're just
Uh,
sitting there, like you don't know anything about flight paths and rules. I'm like, how come we're not just going
yeah.
straight? Why are we going around?
Right.
But I will tell
Yeah,
you
the
that.
Earth is flat, so it would make sense,
Obviously, this should have only been a 45-minute flight, really. But I'll tell you this: like movies and stuff, I watched Trolls for the first time
Oh yeah.
on the flight there, and however y'all want to
Right.
feel about that movie, I liked it, and I think I liked it
Yeah.
even more because now I remember where I saw it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, no, I fucking love that movie. I even like I'll get hate on this probably, but I fucking love the sequel. Like the
oh
sequel
yeah, that was
was even
good.
really good.
That was fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
part two was good too. I enjoyed it, but like
yeah.
I'm like tell, and I went back like y'all should watch Trolls, and people are like what? I'm like I don't know. I think it's good, but B, it's connected to this. So
Yeah.
our flight was good. It wasn't like we didn't. I don't remember much turbulence or any issues. Just
Mhm.
trying, other than being super hot, so I can't fall asleep, and just watching movies. I believe I watched the Magnificent Seven remake also on one of the flights there or back. Neither time did I know about turning on the air, but but the flight back I don't remember being as bad as far as heat. But we but then I just remember like we're good, we're suffering. I'm like, man, this kind of sucks. Like I'm cramped. We couldn't read or we didn't play our games or anything we planned on doing to make the
Mhm.
11-hour
Mhm.
flight. But then we saw on the horizon out the window, we saw Japan.
Yeah, the land of the rising sun.
And
Uh,
yeah, and bro, like I didn't give a shit about if I was hot, if my back was aching. I didn't give a damn, dude. We were so excited. I was ecstatic. This was dream come true, straight up. Like something
mhm,
I never
mhm.
thought was gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And
was. I mean, it was just like that's whenever it really set in, right? Because
yeah,
we've done all the driving and all the flying, and we're just like, come on, like and then like you just see that first bit of land, and you're like, oh shit, we're there.
and we were getting there,
Yeah,
and man, we get there, we land. Uh, Brian's doing his best to contact us to let us know the information what we need to have for customs, which I've never been
oh
through,
my
and
god.
I was scared shitless, and like, but we landed in Narita, and oh, actually, I want to rewind real quick back to O'Hare,
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
but we are dealing with the Japanese airline, and they're checking our bags in and stuff, and I always bring it up. It's like for whatever reason she was like they were like Jerry-san and yeah, and Brian San, and they got to be. And for whatever reason, it was Sean Sama, which for those who don't know, that's like high respect. And I'm like, she called me Sama. I was just weeping out hard, and I don't care. I'm not ashamed. Like, but then we get to Narita Airport in Tokyo, and we get through. I scare myself because when I don't know what I'm doing or I'm really worried about
Yeah,
getting in trouble, I am by the
yeah,
fucking book, right?
yeah, yeah.
I I know our trip is like 17 days, right?
Mhm,
I
mhm,
I wrote
mhm.
that on there and that confused the hell out of the customs lady.
Yeah, yeah. It was just the best thing because I was a little nervous about it too,
Yeah.
but like I got through it, and Brian got through it, and they were like, "What the fuck is taking Sean so long? Are they about to detain Sean? Is he gonna
Oh,
like have to have a cavity search or something?"
and I was panicking because
What's going on?
you and me, for the record, only speak about as much Japanese as your average anime fan probably knows.
Yeah, yeah,
And
the
like,
fucking
and
weeboos.
she's speaking English, but obviously there's a communication because she's like 17, and like I'm sitting there like, yeah, we'll be here 17 days, then we come back, and she was just like, it was just an issue, and I was like, Brian, and I'm waving Brian
Don't be
over. I'm like, come here and explain,
lady.
and he comes up there, and she sees him coming back, and I we went through her line. It was right next to the two ways we could go in, and she was like, just kind of waved him off and like stamped me and let me go through. And he was like, "What
Yeah,
happened?" And I explained. He's like, "Just say 2 weeks." I'm like, I don't know. I'm honest.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there we
It was
are
great.
in Narita Airport, and we're already getting lured and tempted.
Oh yes.
One of the photos for those watching you see is a row of masks in a gift shop, and that was just in the airport. And of course, there were not one but two Tengu masks. And I
Jeez.
remember you were eyeballing,
Mhm.
but we're like, nah, we gotta wait. We gotta get the real deal.
Well, well, it was also one of those things of like we had not got the Suica cards yet,
Right.
and we hadn't done anything with the exchange, so it was kind of like, oh, we're here, but we're kind of like hindered. So like one of the first big things that we had to do, because we were waiting on two other people to get there that were rooming us with us
Yeah.
for the trip as well. Um, they We had to get the Wi-Fi, the
Yeah.
pocket Wi-Fi. So like as soon as we got it, of course we fucking tied our phones to it immediately, jumped on Pokemon Go,
Yes, we did.
and as soon as we jumped on Pokemon Go, we caught Farfetch, which was like the exclusive for Japan. So we were like, well,
Yeah.
got that out of the checklist there.
Oh yeah. Because at
So
the
that was,
time there was still the region exclusive. This is still Gen 1 Pokemon
yeah,
Go, and
yeah, yeah,
Farfetch was
yeah,
only available in Japan, and I caught two on our trip at
yeah.
least, and
Mm-hmm,
so we had to do that. And we're like, yeah, this makes it real. We got a
mm-hmm,
bird
mm-hmm.
with a leak in a
Yeah,
in the game, so this makes it official that we're in Japan. But yeah, so we
yes,
met up with them, and then we had to board another plane because our trip starts in Osaka.
yes.
And I remember we flew there, landed in Osaka, got our bags, got checked in, everything went smooth, and we were waiting on like the taxi ride to pick us all up, and
Mm.
like I'm I'm between 6'2", 6'3", depending on my shoes. About 300-pound guy. Our buddy Brian, he's a big dude as well. And I remember the guy who was like kind of standing out there, making sure people found their taxis, was like, "Are you pro wrestlers?" Because big foreigners coming to Japan, oftentimes are wrestlers, and I was like, "I wish."
You should have said yes. We could have got a cab faster.
Oh right, we got our cab, and like no, so now we're not crossing international date lines. Drove for 11 hours, flew for 11 hours roughly. Like it was for both trips super long. I ain't got a lick of sleep other than maybe nodding off here and there, like like where you kind of slightly pass out. And
Right.
we get loaded up in the taxi, and we're driving to our Airbnb, and I passed out in that cab. I don't like we were not very far out of there before I just yeah, I was out, and I remember I woke up and you're like, we're here. Like, sweet.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I think I was just like, because it was cold whenever we got there, and I
Yeah.
was still like very energetic just from the whole like experience, and getting there.
Right.
So I was just like, I don't know, just in awe of like the cityscape and everything, and we passed the big Ferris wheel in
Right.
Osaka. Yeah, it was really cool. The Airbnb that we stayed at in Osaka was really cool too.
Yeah. No, and don't get it wrong. Like, when I say passed out, I don't mean like, oh, I laid my head down so I could sleep. I passed out because I did not want to sleep. I wanted to look at Osaka
Mhm.
while we were driving too.
Mhm.
I missed the Ferris wheel. I was
Mhm.
just, it
Mhm.
finally hit me. But then we got to the Airbnb, which is a beautiful setup. We had you and me, we were roomies. It had
Mhm.
a nice, like I said, nice bed, super comfy living room with heated wood panel floors. And of course, like while we're waiting on everyone to set up, what do we got to do? We got to turn on Japanese TV.
Oh yes, yes, the
And
Japanese
yeah,
TV. Like, and the cool thing about that is, and I really wish I would have got more photos of our Osaka place that we stayed at.
yeah,
We were on like the seventh or eighth floor, I
right.
think, of this place, and so it was kind of done like it was a square up top. So whenever you walked up, and the center of it was hollow,
Right.
you come through the entryway, and there's a window to the left, and you could see to the other side of the apartment.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
like, yeah, from like almost every angle there were windows, so you could see to the other side of it. And like, this was our first experience with like the Japanese bathrooms and bidet. They had a pretty sweet kitchen set up for us.
Right.
The living room was immaculate. It had like heated floors and stuff.
Yeah.
So like,
Huge
I seriously got
couch.
to give, I have to give Brian props for finding this place, because it was so dope. And like, so they had like, what, he was in an upstairs room on a tatami mat,
Yeah, he had
and
the,
then
the tatami room upstairs, which was
yeah,
all tatami floors. Which you
yeah,
gotta take your shoes off. Which we took our shoes off anyway. We're not savages,
mhm, yeah,
So,
right, right,
but
right.
yeah, so he had
Yeah, we
that.
gotta be more refined.
Yeah. The girls, shout out to Becky and Melissa who came with us.
Michelle.
Michelle, sorry. I always do that.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, Michelle.
Same.
uh, but they had their own spot and we had our room. And Brian had his personal loft for doing the Tommy thing. And I remember we turned on some TV. We flipped around, saw a few shows going on. Saw wrestling, which American wrestling, WWE Raw was on that night. And of course, they're speaking English. Like, okay, we're good. And I don't remember if it was that night or another night, but we found One Piece. So,
Yeah,
of course, we had to
yeah.
watch One Piece in Japan.
One Piece, and I think the first episode of Tokyuger was on the Train Sentai.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I think it was like right after I had finished watching all of it, so I was like very excited about that.
Yeah, always cool to see like the shows that we have to watch over here just airing naturally over there.
Hmm.
And then Brian, everyone got set up and you know comfy, and then he told us the greatest words that would ever come out of someone's mouth when you hit Japan. Let's go to 7-Eleven.
Right,
And we're like,
right.
you always hear about it, and you're just super excited, and it lives up to the hype. As
Hmm.
Brian beautifully captured, we went in looking around and we saw manga, and just
Yep.
immediately went straight to it. He always has a great pose. It's like these boys are tired, hungry, and worn out, and the first thing they do go is look at fucking manga.
Yeah, these fucking nerds over here
Oh
coming
yeah,
over here like should be like looking at the food that they want to eat and stuff, and they go straight for the goddamn manga.
had to. We can't read it. We
Yeah,
don't care.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah, but after we got over like weebing out in there, Brian's kind of showing us how the ropes of 7-Eleven, how things work.
Yeah.
The ridiculously affordable and good food you could get there. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, like if we weren't eating out, which the only time we went out to like restaurants, I think was when we were out and about. Like we never like,
Hmm.
no, when we get home, we're gonna go to a local one, which maybe you should check out. But we lived out of 7-Elevens while we were there for our home meals.
Yeah, yeah. 7-Elevens, and we went to grocery stores. I remember like, being that guy, the stereotypical like fat American, and I'm sure they thought that because we went to a grocery store at one point, and I was like, oh, sweet matcha ice cream, but they were like, the small cups, like the
Right.
little serving cups, and I was like, we're gonna have like six of these.
Look, bro.
Yeah, I promise I'm splitting these up into multiple days. I'm not going to eat them all at once, but I totally ate most of them at once.
Look, bro. I was not messed up about any of my typicalness, or like I said, whether it be American, whether it be an otaku weeb. I didn't give a shit. My
Right, right, right.
some of my personal like the side quests of Japan was to eat as many stereotypical anime foods as I could find.
Right.
And I don't think I got any
Yes.
that night. I remember I got my first taste of the hamburger. Just a
Hmm. Hmm.
beautifully cooked hamburger steak on top of rice and curry sauce and stuff. And it's not rice, noodles. No, rice. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different dish. But yeah, just delicious, and that was like one of my go-tos, because it was just simple and good and cheap. I think it was like $5 for a full fucking thing, and it was well made. Like I know 7-Elevens exist here in the states, and we don't have any here in Arkansas. I don't know if do you have any out where you're at?
Oh, dude, there's literally one on the corner of my the street that I live on.
Have you gotten any
I
food
have
from it?
not. I have not. I have
Okay.
not gone and gotten food from it because I don't know. It
Yeah.
just
My understanding
it
is
just
it's not
reminds.
good.
Yeah, it's just from my understanding. Yeah, it's just like not. It's just a gas station here.
Right. But in Japan, it's legit, and the food was
Yeah.
good. The manga was readily there. I got so many like I found One Piece cookies. I got just whatever I could get, and then we went.
The,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna say the food was good, the snacks were crunchy, and the manga was ripe. It was just a great experience.
Oh, dude, yeah. The first time you hit a 7-Eleven, you gotta do that. And then
Hmm.
then we learned, we learned the train. The first time I've ever been on a subway system, we got as you mentioned earlier, the Suica cards, which
Yes.
basically is for those who aren't aware, it's basically like a card you can get that's going to be pretty much like your ATM card. You
Hmm.
get it, you pay a little bit to get the custom card. Mine had a penguin on it, and and you can load it up with the yen, and you can there's ATMs at the 7-Elevens that my bank, I was lucky, had no like service charge for overseas or the change from dollar to yen or anything like that. So I was just
Hmm.
taking the money out and loading up on a Suica card. So
Right.
while in Japan though, it is cash is still readily like recommended
Mhm.
for a lot of like the shops that you're going to go to. But like you want the Suica card for the subway and for occasional purchases there because they'll gladly take them. But like really, it was more for subway use. At least I did.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It was just really cool. Like, a little confusing at first, but once we got
Yeah.
the hang of it, we were like, dope, we got this. And yeah, I mistakenly found out that I could use my credit card there, so that was a
Right.
big thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just figuring out like you don't the way you kind of do the monetary system is they don't necessarily have like change like cents.
Right.
Like okay, they have coin money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's no decimal point. You don't have like a buck 50. Like so, 150 yen would basically be the buck 50, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's all like tax is already figured up for you.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be 150 yen, and then they're going to tell you at the
Mhm.
counter is this. Apparently, that's a very just America thing. Like,
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because it's funny that we're talking about this because the company that I'm working for is actually opening up in other countries. So right now, so I'm actually finding out about all this stuff like the VAT and
right.
stuff like that. Just how they do taxes and stuff like that in other countries. But yeah, it's all combined into the price of what you're buying, and it's really really nice, and it's really so easy to follow and figure out your money while you're there.
Oh yeah, and like again, as we mentioned, minimal Japanese from us. Neither one of us can hold a conversation.
Hmm.
We mastered Seminosen, which is like I'm sorry, excuse me, as we
Hmm.
went there, and of course, the arigato gozaimasu, and the typical stuff everyone probably knows at this point.
Yeah.
But it was not a hindrance for any of those wondering out there, like worried if you don't speak it. If like within Japan or Japan within Japan,
Mhm.
Osaka, Tokyo, Kyoto that we went to, like you know, you could get by with English, and
Yeah.
they appreciate the effort though, and you should.
Mhm.
I think you should try to learn as much as you can.
Yeah. And it was really cool, right? So our friends Michelle and Becky, they actually translate
Yeah,
for Crunchyroll. And so we were very fortunate to have them with us because we they helped us get around and stuff. But if we didn't have them in anything like the even the citizens and everything, all of the Japanese people that we ran into were very polite, and if we looked like we needed help, they would actually ask us if we needed help or anything like that.
yeah,
um,
absolutely.
all all of the signs for streets and the train lines and everything were in Japanese or in English. And one of the cool things that was like probably like one of the biggest helps there, once we had our phones connected to our travel Wi-Fi and everything, you could get on Google Maps and essentially figure out the way to get everywhere. You could put in that you're traveling by train, and it'll tell you all the lines that you could take and what times they leave and stuff like that. And like we did a lot of walking, so it showed like the directions you'd have to take if you were walking and stuff like that. So it was very very neat and easily accessible for
Oh yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And then
Mhm.
but yeah, once we got that, like the only thing, like, and whatever you can't, say, you can pantomime, but there's not much you
Right.
really need to do. The only time I ever felt nervous was like putting money onto the Suica card at the 7-Eleven, checkout, because I would buy the stuff first, but then I would like show the card, and then I would just show the amount, and I was like, and I would like kind of like say one on the card, and they're like all, that's it, and they took care of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
these are like, and they like English is well taught in Japan, but of course, you should just be like, well, I should expect them to know my language, So you do what you got to do. You can get by, I think, just fine.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
It's pretty easy to get around and to essentially communicate with people.
absolutely. So you ain't got to worry about that. Again, like Jerry said, portable Wi-Fi, Google Maps, you're set for travel. And
Mhm.
the first place we traveled to, though, the big thing in Brian. Do you remember the name of this place? Because I'm always mad I forget it.
Oh, you're talking about the shopping
The
district that we
shopping
went to?
district, yeah, the big Osaka
Man,
shopping district. Uh,
yeah, I literally had to ask him like several times,
right.
and I never tagged any of my stuff on it on
Yeah,
Facebook.
same. But it's the one. If y'all know it at all, know Osaka. It's a huge shopping district, multiple blocks long, with connecting bridges over water that you have to travel through. Beautiful, sceneries out there. We know we got some pictures going for those watching the YouTube version of this. Uh, and just a ton of stores of everything. And like, unfortunately, I don't remember the names of a lot of the stores we went into because I didn't ask. I just saw anime figures and video games and just headed straight for it. So I know we went into one. I think it was maybe like a book off or one of those kind of things because we had like,
So
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, I was just gonna say, I believe the street that we were on was Shinsaibashi Suji's shopping street.
That
Um,
sounds right.
yeah, because yeah, I looked it up. Thank you, Google, for all your help. But yeah, I looked it up, and I'm seeing a lot of familiar stores and stuff like that. And like, man, that was a hell of a first day, right?
Right. What a introduction, because not
Hmm.
only are we seeing just the awesome like billboards and the famous Osaka Running Man, and like the
Hmm.
Olympic Running Man sign you see, and for those of you out there who may have watched the Gantz O CG movie available on Netflix, that's where the battles went down.
Oh
So
yeah,
we were
yeah.
there. But yeah, like
Hmm.
the stores were great. Like some of them, I'm a big guy, but like sometimes you get cramped, but you got to kind of expect it. And but
Yeah,
like just the selection of things, like in that first store that we went into, that at least the one I can remember, because we went into several stores, and
yeah.
but the one we had that had like used video games, used anime figures, still
Hmm.
boxed, because like Japan's secondhand market, like if it's not pristine, they're selling it cheap. They
Yeah.
consider it well used. Even if it has like the corner of your box is dented,
Hmm.
like it's considered well used. So like you can get, if you're not worried about pristine mint, you can get so much cool shit for a very affordable price. That's where I got my
Hmm.
first of many Final Fantasy games. I got Part 5 in box. I want to say I
Hmm.
spent like $10, maybe less, for it. And like we got
Yeah.
some pictures up there, which we were told after the fact not to take a lot of pictures. I think you ignored that.
Right.
I think you ignored that from Brian, but
Well, so I didn't know it at first, and then it just kind of like dawned on me. I was like, oh, okay, this is why we're not really supposed to do it because it's a price comparison type thing.
right.
Um, but I don't think that was super the case in Book Off. But at a place we went to later on, I think it was more of a
Right.
avid choice. It was also going here was, and it's something that I was really excited about seeing. Before I get into this,
Okay.
yes, I did go to Starbucks. It was awesome.
Oh, Starbucks
I
was a
had to.
stop for regular stop for most of the group.
Yeah. Had to go to Starbucks. Had to get my Starbucks in the day. But and one of my highlights of the trip and everywhere we fucking went, mascots. Every freaking place has a
Oh
mascot.
hell yeah.
Just about. Yeah. And if they don't have like someone walking around in a mascot, most shops will have like a little standee of the mascot. And I think one of my first mascot pictures that I got was actually Sean
Yes.
standing in front of a Kappa mascot.
And
So
like we got the picture strolling again. Check us out on
yeah.
YouTube. That'll be the last time I bring that up probably. I was so ecstatic because
Yeah.
as y'all know from listening to us talk, and obviously from our nicknames and character.
Your yokai sonas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yokai Soda hashtag copyright. Uh, I love Kappa, and I was like, I want to get pictures of anything Kappa because I know there are random statues and shrines scattered throughout Japan, and my lack of knowledge of planning beforehand, we didn't really get to do much. So any Kappa thing I could find, and that was really it. And I don't think I got very many like Kappa related souvenirs, but I was ecstatic just to see that one little mascot in front of a store, and it was just like the store mascot, because like
Mhm.
there are mascots for whole districts in Japan, as well as like just little tiny things as well. And yeah, you definitely had your goal, and you got a lot. You got a lot of mascot photos throughout the course of our trip.
Yes. There were some really great ones, some really interesting ones, some that were kind of creepy, but I was there for every single one of them.
So
I loved that whole aesthetic.
so let me ask you though, Starbucks being huge all over the world, really though, uh, and I know this is 4 years ago. How
Yeah.
did the Japan Starbucks compare?
So I'm kind of weird in my Starbucks as like I don't get just straight like coffee wherever I go. I like to try like flavored drinks. I like a lot of sugar in my drinks and stuff.
Right, right.
And they so I'm pretty sure there was a drink that I was getting at the time that they didn't have the same flavoring that I got there. So I tried something new and still really enjoyed it. I think one of my big things that I really like to get was the matcha latte.
Right.
It was really good. Get my fucking triple shots of espresso with my matcha latte, and I was all set and good to go. And
Right.
luckily, oh man, luckily Michelle liked Starbucks too, because I guess she used to work at one.
Oh,
So
okay.
she, anytime I wanted Starbucks, uh, she would want Starbucks too, and I'm like, all right, I'm paying. Just give them my order.
Right. I was about to ask. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was there
yeah,
any because you know in a you grab an anime figure off the shelf, you take it to the counter, they see the price. You don't have to do a
yeah,
lot of communication. But
right.
you coffee drinkers, you
Yeah,
have your 17 ingredients you have to have, or you will lose your fucking mind.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I forgot about that. I'm pretty sure you told me at the time, but like yeah, like how you were able to tell them your exact needs. Yeah, so having her help you out I'm sure was definitely
Oh,
big.
yeah, and I mean, like, they had a lot of really good coffee drinks at like the our little convenience store stops and
Right.
everything that we did. So usually anytime we went to one of those, that would get me a little coffee drink or something. Yeah. Speaking of that, though, your whole thing
I
with
was
trying
gonna
to find chocolate milk, yeah,
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, I also enjoyed several Japanese coffee drinks, and for the record, I don't drink coffee, but your boy like his chalky milk for my treats, and
uh,
keep in mind at this time I call it like drinking straight edge. Like I wasn't drinking hardly anything but water in my life, trying to cut out
yeah,
sodas and even chocolate milk. But I'm like, this is Japan. Nothing.
yeah,
It's all good.
yeah,
Although I still stayed away from sodas, except for the one that was disgusting. We'll get into later. Um, but I wanted some chalky milk, and I'm using Google Translate on my phone. Don't use it. It doesn't fucking work. And I would find bottles of what looks like a brown liquid, in a good way, uh, and that looks like delicious chocolatey milk. And I would use my phone, and it would say like Choco or something to kind of hint like, yeah, I think this is good. Buy it, break it open, gulp. That is coffee, and I am not a waster, so I'm chugging coffee. I'm sure it helped keep my energy up because, yes, in Japan,
Right.
if you don't know, you're walking everywhere unless you really
Yeah.
want to pay a lot of fees. Not fees, just I guess taxi fees would be the way like paying for taxi. But
Mhm.
like in Japan, if you're down to just take that walk, you
Yeah.
can get where you're going. I'm
Yeah.
sure if you get out to the more, I always hate saying this word because I feel like I'm rural areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd probably be a little more necessary. But when you're like where we
Yeah.
are in the Osaka district, in Tokyo, Kyoto, we hoofed it, and it wasn't bad at all for me at least.
Yeah, and that's kind of how you handle it, right? You plan your day, right? You decide, okay, I want to go to this district or whatever, and
Yeah,
you're like, let's hit up all these places in this district, and then so you just ride the train out there, you make your round or whatever, and walk, and then you just hit up the train station, and you go on to the next place or go back to your Airbnb like we did.
right.
And I mean, like, yes, there was a lot of walking, and I was really happy with the footwear that I decided to bring
Yeah,
because, man,
I wore my old shoe, not my old shoe, but I didn't get special shoes for this trip. I wore the ones I already had broken in. I brought my ibuprofen.
Mhm.
But what we also had motivation was, and which killed our battery life, because this is back when Pokemon Go had to be on for your
Yeah,
walking for your eggs. And we had a
right.
awesome tradition because everybody in our group was playing, and we all had our eggs in our incubators, and we're walking, and you would hear in the group randomly, "Oh," because the
Yeah,
game
yeah,
goes like "oh" when the egg is about to hatch, and we would stop. And like in my mind, it's like a group of birds just run up. You know how like they move together in unison almost, and
yeah,
we're all like
yeah.
"oh, oh, oh," and we see it hatch. And if it was something cool, we'd be like "yeah." If it was something lame, we'd be like "oh," and we would move on. And I'm sure it would look super strange to the locals.
No, they were probably just like, Americans.
Right? These gaijin and their weird habits of circling each other's phones. But that was
Yeah.
it made, of course we're walking anyway. And, when you're in a place like, you're excited. Like, they always say in New York, don't ever look at the skyscrapers, they'll know you're a tourist.
Oh my God, I don't even give a shit.
Right. But like, the crime rate is very different in Japan as even in Tokyo, which is, a comparable metropolis as like say New York.
Mm.
But no, you're taking the sights, and I mean, like I said, I'm a big dude, but I don't remember ever having to like. No, don't get wrong. When I could get a seat, I was grateful for it, but
Hmm.
didn't care. Motivated to keep on moving. But
Yeah.
then we're gonna go through several days where this may end up being another 2 hour video because we're only in Osaka. We're nearing an hour already. I don't give a shit. I could talk about this all damn day.
Right. Right.
But we'll move on. Like we had a big destination planned, and that is
Yeah.
Universal Studios in Osaka. So we
Hmm.
had Universal
Hmm.
Studios Japan, which, full honesty, I was down for the ride. You know what I mean? Like we're in
Yeah.
Japan. I don't give a shit what we're doing. So I'm again no way complaining. I had a part of me that was kind of like I could go to Universal Studios in America. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
I'm like,
Hmm.
let's go see Japan. But didn't care.
Yeah.
The group all wanted to go. I was down, and I'm glad I did. Don't get me wrong. I had a great
Yeah.
time. 100% glad I did. There was that part of me,
Yeah.
and there was a part where I was really hitting that feeling, and I don't want to get
Hmm.
to it just yet, but we'll talk about that. But on the way
Hmm.
there, we saw something that's heavenly for us. The Shonen
Whew.
the Shonen
Yes.
Jump store,
Yes.
which had a
It
great
was.
pirate ship with Luffy, Ichigo from Bleach, and Naruto on a ship on the
Yeah.
outside. And oh, so happy. So much cool shit
Yeah.
in there.
We were just completely freaking out about that. It was amazing. It was like, yep. It's like Universal Studios. This amazing place is like, you know, 200 feet or so away from us, and we just were freaking out about this Shonen Jump shop. And I mean, like, we even we saw this before we had takoyaki, right? Or was it after?
I'm not sure. I just want to talk about that, and then I was going to get into takoyaki because it was. I don't remember the exact order, but yeah, basically, like, cause I think we shopped 8, so we wouldn't want to buy food in there, and then we wouldn't. Like, we may have seen it, but I'm pretty sure we ate that right before going in.
And it was like one of those moments, right, where you're like, oh my god, all the things that I love. It's like a convention booth, but like the whole store is the convention booth. It's so great. And it was just
reasonable prices.
Yeah,
because you don't have convention markups. But I still remember at this time, I'm like, no, it's kind of like, where you're just like, oh my god, I want to spend all my funds already. And I think even Brian literally stopped us, going, guys, we haven't even hit Akihabara yet.
Yeah. He's like,
you're right, bro.
It's the second day.
Dude, like, this is the second day. Like, because I think I bought, like, one game, maybe another little, like, small anime thing in the Osaka shopping area. And then in here, I found my first Suyu Asui, Froppy from My Hero Academia stuff. I got the pin and the little, like keychain. Or the money clip in the little keychain. And that's all I got from there. And there was a ton of stuff. Like, they had those, like, the replica of, like, the pages from the manga were like super cool. But we had I don't remember. Do you remember if you had picked up anything?
Oh man, from that I really don't think so. Right. I think that somehow I was able to go without actually getting something, but I did fucking literally carry a backpack with me everywhere we went just in case.
And you did it day one.
Something I wanted. Yeah,
and you were smart because I didn't day one, and I felt bad because we had to load you up like the pack mule because no one else did either. I probably have permanent back problems from that. I'm pretty sure now. But from that day on, we were the pack mules because no one else. Well, maybe Brian or maybe one of the girls, but like I know we were pretty much the mules, and we were happy for it because they were doing so much for us,
Yeah.
But then, as we said, after we went to the Shonen Jump store, like, and I had that mentality. Like, granted, I'm not the most adventurous eater in my day-to-day life. I like what I like, and I usually stick with it. And even left to my own devices, even in Japan, like I had hamburger steak, like mainly that, to be honest, unless someone said, "Hey, try this," and that hit us day 2. I think Brian recommended some stuff at 7-Eleven, and that's where I got the hamburger steak and a few of the treats that I got that day. They're like, "We're getting takoyaki," and I'm like, and at first I was like, I know that name, but I wasn't placing it, and they're like, it's it's octopus in fried dough ball. I'm like, I'm down to clown. I don't give a shit. You're saying to eat it? And at this time, I didn't even know this till after our trip. That's like Osaka's like signature dish is takoyaki.
Oh, okay.
Like that's like if you go to Osaka, you're getting takoyaki. Even though you can get it anywhere, but you got to get it down there apparently. So we got in there. It was that cool machine. It was like one of those almost like you don't really have to talk to anybody. This had those machine that like, you put it in your yen, you hit the button, you got your thing. I think I got the kind of like a sampler plate, a little bit of, because they had like 3 different takoyaki balls, 3 different types.
Yeah.
I had all 3 of them. Had little toppings on there and a little complimentary tiny thimble of water, a running thing going on in there. Because like, man, like I could shot this. I just got to wait. And I think you got something similar. I think we got the same kind of plate, or you just had a little bit of the takoyaki as well.
Yeah. After putting the hot lava balls in my mouth,
they were fresh. They were hot, and for me, they were heaven. I never had octopus before.
And you probably still haven't told your wife because she'd probably divorce you about it.
No, I posted it on Facebook and she commented with yuck because my wife does not do the cephalopods, the octopus or squid. And Jerry, you didn't care for your takoyaki, did you?
Yeah, it was really a texture thing. Like I was down to try whatever we did while we were there, right. But I got some. It was real goddamn hot, so that probably didn't help either.
It made one of our album covers. which we'll also
Yeah.
have to discuss.
And crunching into those things, it was just, I don't know. Yeah, it was just a real texture thing for me. I was
Yeah. You try.
not super there for it.
If I remember right, you tried like I think at least one of the each of the variety one. You're like, bro, I
Yeah.
can't do it. I said, I'll happily finish it for you.
Right.
And
Right.
which I also learned for those also. I'm gonna throw out my mistakes to make sure y'all know because I didn't know this. Because here in America, you get your Chinese takeout or you eat somewhere that has chopsticks, the wooden chopsticks that you have to break apart. I was shown, which apparently is a Korean tradition. At least I know it's a Korean tradition because a Korean lady I work with mentioned it because she was surprised I did it. Of rubbing the sticks together to kind of get the splinters off.
Mm-hmm.
That's a no-no in Japan.
Yeah.
Because Brian stopped me immediately because I was doing it this habit, not even thinking about like, okay, I broke my chopsticks and did that. He goes, no, stop. That's disrespectful. You're implying they're giving you very cheap chopsticks. I'm like, my bad. So learn. For y'all can take that note if you ever go to Japan. Don't do that. Just eat your splinter if that's what or learn. No, I'm joking. It was no need to my memory. There was no need to do it. It's just what I was kind of used to from eating here in America. So I ate all the takoyaki. You had a little bit. Now we were ready for Universal Studios. And
hold on, because the takoyaki place had a mascot, and I had to take a picture with it. That's basically the beginning and end of the story. But it was a great mascot.
Yeah,
it was a little mushroom with it looked like a little mushroom.
Well, it was a takoyaki
and had like a takoyaki. It had a takoyaki hat and everything. But it was real cute. And Sean's gonna put that picture here right now.
It's not right now, but yes, it's been cycling through because I'm a lazy editor.
It was somewhere in there.
Yeah, you'll see the picture on there. You'll know it. Jerry's mimicking the pose. It's adorable. Speaking of pose, real quick before we do get to Universal Studios, we had a it's not JoJo Leon. Who's the JoJo character that's in the sailor outfit?
Yeah, that's JoJo Line.
That is JoJo Line. Okay. They had a standee of it. We had to get you doing a JoJo pose because at this point I really hadn't gotten into JoJo. So I got another. It was one of my favorite pictures of you. You're just striking the pose right next to the standee in the Shonen Jump store. But I guess another thing we'll point out. So we have a buddy. If any of y'all have listened to my on my channel, Bearded Capital Productions, I do video game reviews. And my buddy Quincy joined me on Final Fantasy X. And he was supposed to join us in this trip, at least early on when we met. Once he found out we were going, he wanted to go. And, he had to drop out. As would happen, it's expensive. He has a family. But we're not going to let that slide. So throughout the trip, we were finding pictures that made album covers. And they were all called, because I think it was like day 1 or 2, we dubbed the term Osaka Waffle Walk because Brian gave us this bag that had little waffles in them. He was like, here, waffle and walk, or walk and eat this waffle. Now we're like, Osaka Waffle Walk, Osaka Waffle Walk. We're like, that's a great group name. And we had to make a bunch of diss albums referencing to Quincy. I remember we used one cover of you holding your mouth because how hot the damn takoyaki ball was. And it was Osaka Waffle Walk. Quincy can't handle the octopus. It was an ongoing thing. It's some of my favorite little pictures to still share on our Facebook.
Yeah,
but
so great. I'm still waiting for the actual albums to come out, but we'll get there eventually.
A little sneak preview because I'm a man of my word. I shared that with some friends, and they called me out on that. And I was like, well, you know what? Like, fine. If I ever go back, and I'm going back, at some time in my life, I'm going to be in Japan, and I'm going to cut a diss rap on Quincy. So be ready for my horrible rap skills if I ever go back to Japan. I promise I will live up to that. But we are going to Universal Studios Japan. And we had everything from, the big thing, of course, was Harry Potter Land. Hogwarts, what's the Diagon Alley?
Wizarding World.
Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys had a lot of experiences with that. You want to go ahead and talk a little on that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I won't go into it too far because of all the garbage that's going on with that person right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the time, that shit wasn't known, so we had a lot of fun with it. It was decent fan of Harry Potter. Bought a wand. They actually had one that worked with the park.
Right. That was so cool.
And yeah, and I really liked going up to those because they had like little plates on the ground,
Right.
and they would have instructors standing at the plates, and they told you essentially where to point your wand and the specific thing to do, and like the stuff would either work or not work. And I think it was Becky and I that were basically doing it the whole time, and like mine would always like just nothing, and then Becky would come in and it would just work great, and I'm like, what the heck?
I mean,
But
like,
I got serious Black's wand.
Right. I mean, to the point where me and Brian were like, "Look, I don't even believe there's a motion tracker. It's just a dude in a window hitting the button." And every time he saw Jerry, he was like, "Fuck that guy. He barely do anything." But
this guy again.
Yeah. But we had that. There was Peanuts. Charlie Brown had a little section in
Yes.
there. And
yeah, that was really interesting, right?
that was fun. Just seeing a lot of like the stand. I took pictures like with them. I know I posted some of them into this video. But here, like going back to what I talked about earlier, like having a great time. Don't get it wrong. Never get it wrong that I regretted or was angry at all during this thing. But at this point, I'm kind of like, why aren't we out in Japan? This is great. But this is Harry Potter. This is Peanuts. Yes, there's a Hello Kitty standing next to Charlie Brown. That's cool. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of like, this is great. But, I really kind of wish we were in Japan. And then we saw the Armored Titan life-size statue from Attack on Titan with his hand on the ground to where you could take photos with. And it was a super huge. I'm like, now that's Japan. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. I'm not even the biggest Attack on Titan fan, but I was like, that's fucking cool. Okay, I'm feeling it. And then we saw a sign that was like wasn't like the kaiju experience or something. Like it had like Godzilla, but also had like Evangelion on the sign.
Well, so I believe, unless I'm mistaken, I think their 3D ride at the time was Evangelion.
Right.
I think they had one Evangelion, and then they had one other thing that I think you're getting to.
Yeah, and then we had the Kirin from Monster Hunter statue. A huge, for those who don't know, a huge unicorn monster horse, and it was a big statue that would like have different lighting on it. So of course, we had to get some pictures and doing our animations from Monster Hunter, as we talked about in some previous episodes. And they had a little cafe with the palicos, where we had to do our prance animation in front of.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? This makes me happy. This feels like Japan. And we even got a great picture of you sitting next to the cat from the Yokai Watch. Yokai Watch.
Yeah.
So we had a small section of anime in there, which made again having a great time. Not a complaint, but that like okay. I'm feeling Japan. I'm feeling great. And we had a great time.
Yeah, and I think on the way out, I found another little mascot in front of a popcorn place, and he was a little cowboy popcorn with a little mustache. Yeah, a little American flag body. It was pretty great.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that was we were going on this was I think the first time we really experienced the late night train. Because it was packed as hell. If I remember right, I was leaving Universal Studios was the first time because like we had already rode the subway a couple days, and like you got to stand most of the time, and I was okay with standing because my big ass taking up probably 2 seats. And,
and just to kind of summarize, that was actually day 3. Day 2, we actually went to Abeno Harukas, the tallest tower in Osaka.
Oh, okay, yeah, I forget that.
Yeah. No, I mean you're fine. But yeah, it was so it was our first tower. Brian's really big into going to new cities and finding like little miniatures of the towers.
Yeah.
I was there for Beno Bear, which was the mascot of the tower. So I got me a little Beno Bear button. I got a picture where Sean and I took a picture in a little standee with our face in like little flying donuts. I think.
Oh yeah. Wait, was
Yeah,
this that tower? Was this
yeah,
the
yeah,
tower?
yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
believe this
Oh.
was the tower
Okay.
that you
So
were gonna glaze over.
I was. I'm so sorry. There's so much to talk about, and
Oh, I know.
we're going long on this one. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, and you'll see the picture. But so we're climbing the tower, going up like an escalator to get to the top to take the sky pod, whatever, so you could take a 360 shot of the city, which was beautiful. And Jerry, you were ahead of B.
Yeah.
And you know my love. By this point, we've known each other for several years. You know my taste in anime and what I'm a fan of. And I see you above me, and I'm sitting there like, all right, this is cool, this is cool. And you just turn around going, dude, or something like you. It's something to that extent, like, bro, oh, you're gonna get excited or something. I was like, what we talk? What? I hadn't seen any signage, and we get up there and set off in this corner in one of the floors of the tower is a Ghost in the Shell display.
Yeah, it's specifically they had a is it Tachikoma?
Well, now I can't say it right because you said it wrong. Now I can't get it out of my head. Tachikoma, yeah, which
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
okay.
close enough. But yeah, Tachikoma, which is the spider tank from Ghost in the Shell, not life size, but a movie one. Actually, yeah, you're seeing it right now on the YouTube version. It had a cord to it, powering it, and I could see tire marks. So this thing could move and talk. I'm sure it had like a special thing going on, and it wasn't happening at the time when we got there. But you could still get near it. I took some photos. They were selling like art cells, animation cells, artwork, and I got a little Tachikoma toy from there. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that, y'all. Silences are killing me. Had to clear that.
I was like, oh, what happened? Where'd you go?
Right. But yeah, and we had I had to buy that, and I was looking at the art, and I was like, oh, that's really expensive, and we're not in Akihabara yet.
I know.
So had to get that, and I remember like the first time I was like, I don't know if because again, even if you don't speak the language, just showing that you know some of it and express. Don't be shy about that because they actually really appreciate it. Or you'll get very cute girls giggling at you, which I'm okay with too because like the checkout girls were like I bought my little Tachikoma toy. And all I gave was a simple. They were like, they thanked me. I can't remember the exact phrase and how they say it, but I was like, this arigato, and they were like, hee hee, started giggling. I'm like, that's so cute, or as they say, kawaii.
We that was also I think our first restaurant that we ate in was in Abeno Haruka's too.
Oh, I believe you're right.
So it was like our first time actually eating at a restaurant there, which was a pretty interesting experience. It was so it was set up. And I don't know how many restaurants do this, but I know it happened a couple of times while we were over there. But whenever you have a party, you all pay together, and then I guess split it after. The word I was thinking about earlier was duties. That was the things like duty free and stuff like that for taxes and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, we all got like little fancy food and stuff at this place. I can't even tell what I was eating at this point. It had rice. I think it was hamburg steak, noodles, and some side vegetables and stuff like that. So that was really good.
Oh, for sure. But so going on, we did that, did the tower, and I believe it was that day of the tower is the first time it snowed a little bit. Like we got some flurries.
And maybe a little bit of flurries. I mostly remember it when we were in Kyoto, though.
Right. But just at this point, because like day one, I wore pants because it's February in Japan. And I know it can get cold. I wore pants and my hoodie, and I wasn't like hot or anything, but I was like, I don't feel like I need these right now. So for like the rest of the trip, I'm in shorts, even if it's snowing. And I don't care. It was comfortable. I was comfy the entire time. So that was great.
Right.
But then
no. It was actually not too bad. Quite a few of my photos, especially when we were like inside places, I wasn't wearing my jacket. So yeah, it was actually pretty nice.
So all right, so then that was day 2. Day 3, Universal
Yeah,
Studios. You just heard all about it. We're go
Universal Studios, and then Yodobashi Camera.
Yodobashi camera. Oh, that was
Yes,
so cool.
yes.
A Just picture a what 5 to 7 story building. I don't remember the exact number. Where every floor is a different, like, I won't say theme, but like clothes on one floor, appliances
Yeah,
another floor, and then our floor, which was
yes,
toys
yes.
and Gunpla model kits and just all kinds of anime figures and
Video games
video
and
games.
fucking Gashapon.
And that is where we discovered Gachapon. Not discovered, but we
Yes.
saw our first, because we saw Gachapon. The little machines, kind of like what we have here at I don't even know if they have them at Walmarts anymore. That's where I always saw here in America.
Mhm.
You would see them here and there, but this was an entire corner of just rows and rows of Gachapon machines of all different themes and styles, and we're just sitting here like, we need change. And there was a thing just dumping yen for these. Got to turn, because like, okay, this is My Hero Academia one. I need a Froppy. Oh look, let me get a billion Dekus first and spend way too much money to get a single small keychain. But damn it, I got her
Hmm.
as
Yeah,
well. Like
I got Mazinger too,
oh
or
yeah,
sorry, not Mazinger, Getter Robo. Like, and it was funny because the other forms are okay, but
right.
I really just wanted the base form, and that was the first one I got. So it was essentially all one and done. It was so great.
Yeah, and I know there was a Ranma half one. I tried to get the entire set. I think I got them all but Akane, and at that point I was like, who nobody likes Akane. For those who know Ranma half will know what I'm talking about. But so yeah, but that, and then like, so the store there, I think that's where I got model kits. I know you got some model kits, and I got some of the first the chopper robot ones. Whether it was on that day or not, I know it was from that Yodobashi camera. So that was super fucking cool. Um,
Hmm.
so, man, I'll be honest, because that was about we were doing about 3 or 4 days in like each area,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
or not each area, but like
So
we only did a few days in Osaka. Then we went like a day in Kyoto, I believe, right?
Uh, so we did basically a week in Osaka, and then we did a week in Tokyo. And then while we were in Osaka, part of our Osaka trip, we went to Nara and Kyoto and
Okay.
a couple of other neighboring areas. So the next memory that I have on here is the Poke Center in
Oh yeah,
Osaka.
yeah.
Yeah. And Sun and Moon had just come out. So they have the Alolan forms of stuff. They have
Right,
Skull Pikachu, Vulpix Pikachu. They have the two big legendaries from Sun and Moon
right.
that were really cool. Um,
And
yeah, it was impressive.
oh, for sure, that was super neat. And I got a Litten, as he's known in America. So of course,
Mhm.
being Sean Litten, I had to get Litten, and I got the Team Skull Pikachu.
Yes.
Because something we're going to get into here very shortly. Brian,
Spoilers for.
yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I had to buy it. Well, you know what? No, no. Well, they've probably already seen pictures by now. It's probably rotated 3 times. Fuck it. But
Wow, jeez.
but you know what? No, Spotify listeners, you'll have to wait. um, so yeah, so yeah, I bought a Team Skull Pikachu for a reason that we'll get to here in a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So file that back in your head, and we'll bring it up again in like half an hour. Um, so going into another day that we had, one of our big things, and it's crazy because I, had seen this and seen videos and stuff on it, and I never thought, like, oh, I would be doing that one day. We went to a a very cool place called Nara,
Oh yeah,
and if you don't know. Nara, we hopped on a train, went to Nara. Nara is very famous for the deer
yes,
because they are, all over the place. They're like fucking pigeons or whatever. You can't escape them.
yeah,
And they actually have it to where you could buy. like crackers and stuff and feed them and pet them and everything. Those things got really fucking vicious and needy. I'll just say that. Okay.
Look,
No,
they are adorable. They are
yeah,
vast and many, and
yeah.
they are like everyone. You always hear it because that's what we were told, and this is not a
Hmm.
lie, but they fail to
Yeah.
tell you the details. Nara deer are known that they have been trained over the course of their generations to
Hmm.
bow, and they know they'll get a treat like the little crackers.
Hmm.
What they don't tell you is it's not a graceful bow a lot of times. They just walk up, they headbutt the ground. No, not really headbutt the ground, but like they angrily bow at you and then like give me the cracker. And God
Yeah.
help you if you get a pack up. You know, they see you buy the pack because you're going to get
Yeah.
swarmed from all sides. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You remember the time in Home Alone 2 when the sticky bandits got birdseed covered all over them, and then the pigeons swarmed them. That was basically Sean and I when we were in
Yeah.
Nara Park.
I believe, Jerry, you have a video of me being engulfed by the deer,
Oh yeah,
and I'm doing
yeah,
I'm doing my best. I know I'm going like here you go, and they're just like bow bow, give me cracker, and I'm getting nipped in the butt from the ones
yeah,
behind me because like I'm here too, and I bowed, motherfucker.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They were going after you.
Dude, they were not playing, and the cracker person, the person who sold it, knew that too because she was like, here, move, like get so they don't swarm the tap
Yeah,
the state.
yeah,
And we had that. They were great. I mean, they're. I mean, some of them, maybe not a wholly friendly if you're not giving them food, but like some of them you could just walk up and pet.
yeah.
And these are small deer by
Those-
comparison to like American deer.
Oh yeah,
Even the
yeah, yeah.
adults are pretty small. They're about like I said, I'm 6'2", and they're about waist high to me. But
Hmm.
but that was super cute, and the temple ground was super cool.
Yeah, and that was actually the first. I really wish we could have seen more stuff like that, like historical and temple and stuff like that. But
Right.
I mean, we had our priorities with our nerd shit,
We had
so
our nerd
you
shit,
know.
and we weren't causing waves. Like you and me have talked about on
Yeah,
our own time. Like if
oh
we
yeah,
both
yeah.
ever win again, we'd feel
Mhm.
a bit more comfortable being more independent, just getting
Yeah.
our own Wi-Fi hotspot
Mhm.
and just going where we want to go. But we were also having a
Right.
blast with like pretty much going wherever the group wanted to because we both were
Mhm.
kind of with that mindset of we're in Japan. I don't give a shit what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we
Right.
knew they were going to take us to like the nerd spots as well. So we weren't
Yeah.
worried about missing any of that.
Yeah. And so just a couple more things about Nara Park.
Yeah,
They had uh, like two other mascots that I really liked. They had a really cute little deer one that looked like Chopper from One Piece.
yeah, he did.
Um, and then they also had a fucking Sentai superhero that was
Oh,
really fucking
I
yeah.
forgot about it. Yeah, yeah. I forgot all about that.
Which that was awesome. And then the last notable thing we did in Nara, and it was going to happen at some point because when you're in other places, you're wondering how other food tastes. That you could get back home. We went to a McDonald's
Oh
while we were
yeah,
there.
yeah. I
Uh,
got the teriyaki burger. It was
uh-huh.
delicious.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I'm looking at mine. It was like kind of a pork burger with lettuce, and it had like a really interesting bun on it and everything.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
all the advertisements and boxes. I should have got a freaking Happy Meal. I should have got a Japanese toy.
I thought
Like,
about that
I,
later too. Like, oh man, we should have done a Happy Meal because you go to
yeah,
another country, you got to at least check out their McDonald's, or in
right,
y'all's
yeah.
case, like a Starbucks. It's one of those. To me, it's one of those kind of must days. And seeing the slideshow that I'm seeing, I got reminded. Apparently, the same day because I always showed whatever I picked up on the same day together. That I got the Tachikoma. We must have stopped at a used like toy shop in one of the shopping districts because that's where I
Mm-hmm.
got red and blue Akiba Rangers,
Yeah.
SH figure arts of them, and I remember specifically like the red he was like about $20, but the blue one complete in box. The box is pretty beat up though, like 500 yen. She was
Hmm.
like super cheap, and
Yeah.
I had to get them because our friend Kat had gotten me Akiba Yellow like well before we ever went there. So
Hmm.
had to get the set. So just throwing that out there. Had gotten all that
Yeah.
together as well. So
Yeah.
after, oh, what? Sorry.
No. I was just gonna say after Nara is whenever we went to Kyoto.
Yeah, Kyoto was
Mhm.
the biggest thing I remember from that was the Golden Temple.
Oh yes, yeah. So we it was pretty cool, right? Because I also like to really see how the weather is in other places. And when we got to Kyoto, that's whenever it started snowing on us.
Okay, okay.
Um, and we kind of walking around. We saw I've got a picture, and there were some some ladies wearing some yukatas. It
Yeah.
was really cute. We went to because Brian doing his Brian thing. We went to Kyoto Tower. Kyoto Tower had a great mascot
Of
as
course, of
well.
course.
And then they also had, I think there was um, a Blue Exorcist movie that was getting ready to come out, or a
Oh
special or something like that,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
that took
remember.
place in Kyoto. So Kyoto Tower had a lot of Blue Exorcist stuff all over it. And then it was after that point we got on a bus and then marched up the street to go to the Golden Temple, which was really cool. Like really, really cool.
I mean, super beautiful. I know we got some pics going on in the YouTube
Mhm.
video of this, and it was like again like the I can't emphasize the most expensive part of going to Japan is probably your flight, and then
Mhm.
probably depending on how your accommodations that you want to stay at, but like the tours, the bus fares, the toys, if that's what you're going
Mhm.
for.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it being over feeling overpriced whatsoever. And
Mhm.
granted, we went there like not worrying about it, but like it's super reasonable once you get there. So like just kind of like for anybody who's thinking about going to Japan once the borders open back up again,
Mhm.
uh, get through your airfare and make sure you have set up where you can stay, and you're golden as long as you're not going
Mhm.
for like super extravagant things to do.
Yeah.
But to just
Yeah.
be there, yeah, it's
Right.
super affordable.
And I mean, even if we were like poor as shit, like if we just stayed, 1 week in Tokyo,
Right.
I still don't think we would have run out of things to do.
No, not at all. Like I said, we spent about roughly like over 2 weeks, and we didn't even crack the surface of what there is to do in Japan.
Right.
But
Right.
Kyoto, but yeah, the Golden Temple in Kyoto, beautiful grounds. Of course, known for
Mhm.
the Golden Temple that is in there. The photo is definitely circulating in our video of this,
And
and
it
yeah,
it was kind of funny, and I was actually reminded of it. Two of Steph and I's friends, John and April, just went last year. Was it
yeah.
last year or year before last? I can't remember. I know it's been a while since we saw them, and they just came and visited Seattle and everything. And they got us souvenirs, and
Oh,
so they got Steph a couple of like cute little Deadpool things. They got me a keychain that was Luffy at the Golden Temple, so they went and visited it too. So I
oh,
was like,
hell
"Oh
yeah.
yeah, nice." I remember that was super fun. We also got a little cool sake set. So
Oh, very
yeah,
nice. And yeah, that is
yeah,
actually. I'm glad you mentioned that too. That was also a thing I remember because we gotten a few things here. Sadly, in my house, a lot of it's packed up. But like
right.
every area had
Hmm.
like even if it's like say it's one piece keychains, but it's unique to
Hmm.
that area.
Yeah,
Like there were
yeah.
Nara one piece keychains. There were Kyoto one piece keychains. So like
I really regretted not just going ham on getting a one piece something from every place that we went
yeah,
to.
yeah, that would have been great. I know my mentality for like One Piece stuff was really to find Buggy merch because
Yes.
he doesn't have a lot to begin with. So I was like, but okay, I'll find more Buggy stuff over there because
Mhm.
that's my favorite character, and I did. I picked up several Buggy items while we were there.
So, we got through Nara and got through Kyoto. It was really great stuff. So the following day, we got up extra early
Yeah,
because we had a special trip planned,
we did.
right? Yes. And this was the day, basically, I think. So they had this game show going on called the Tokagi Game Show, and it was something that Brian was really wanting to do, and like we were wanting to check out,
Oh,
this like because it's kind of convention esque. But it's interesting because we were going to be staying in Tokyo, but this was going on before that. So what we were going to do is day travel to Tokyo and then travel back to Osaka. And yeah, so this day was pretty exciting, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said, Brian had told us in advance this plan about going to Tokyo for one day. So
Mhm,
he had got us to buy tickets for the Shinkansen, the bullet
mhm,
train. Which also bonus fact, if y'all are planning to maybe take the Shinkansen, get the package that's a little more, but the Shinkansen, the company that owns the Shinkansen owns certain also subway lines. And with that pack, not only can you ride their bullet train, but certain subway stations you can just go right through. Your ticket's paid. So that was
mm.
a very
Yeah, I
cool
didn't know
thing. But yeah, so
that. Nice.
Brian told us in advance that we're going to a video game convention. And me, being the cosplayer that I am, was like, a convention. Bucket list cosplay in Japan. But I know I'm buying a lot of shit. What can I bring in a suitcase,
Yeah.
that I can get in there that's not going to look like I'm a terrorist, which I may not have done that well because what I did pack. It just so happened that like as you mentioned earlier that Pokemon Sun and Moon came out,
Mhm,
and there was a new delinquent villains called Team Skull, which are pretty much
mhm.
just street toughs wearing pretty much street clothes. And I had made a cosplay, and if I can toot my own horn, at least here in Arkansas, I was the only one rocking it at the time. No one else had made one. I had it all hand basic made, as good as I could do. But I'm like, okay, we're going to a video game convention. I'm going to cosplay my video game character in Japan. So I also had to get, when we went to the Pokestop, I got the Team Skull Pikachu to go along
Yes.
with it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
remember that?
yep.
Remember
Remember that callback? Throwing it back at you.
that?
So dream come true of not only going to Japan, but I had to cosplay.
Yeah.
And I remember we got there, and like a part of me wanted to just wear the costume on the street while we're going there,
Mhm,
even though it had
mhm,
kind of the bandana, which I would have had pulled down just in case. I didn't
mhm.
know how they would look at it like that. But I remember we bought our ticket, we're going in, and I'm just sitting there having to have you, and you were so patient, and I appreciated it. Of like, here,
Of course.
hold this. I'm taking off my hoodie. I'm getting in the costume, and I'm there was probably a space because there was a whole corner dedicated for cosplay, but I didn't know. So we're over here just kind
Mm.
of scooted off to the side of the entryway. And you're letting me just throw on my gear. And yeah, so we got to go in there. And we went there, though, for a specific reason. Uh, if y'all keep in mind that this was 4 years ago, at this show, Brian wanted to go specifically to get the first hands-on demo for him, at least. There may have been others in Japan at this point, but for our timing of our trip, you could play the Switch, the Nintendo Switch,
Mhm.
before it came out. So that was Brian's goal. He did not attain said goal because everybody was there to play the Switch.
Yep.
But you and me got to go around on the convention floor, and with Brian too. And I was in my costume. There were mascots of We Bear Bears for some reason,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they were there. How to get a picture with,
Hmm.
and a lot of cool stuff. I mean, there was like booths full of toys and figures, and I'm in like y'all see the pictures are going on our YouTube version of my costume. It's close as I always say with my cosplay. Man, I'm no expert, 80%, and I got stopped by Japanese people to get to take a picture of my cosplay. And Jerry, you cosplay. I'm sure some of our listeners cosplay, and maybe it's me because I appreciate anyone who stops and asks for a picture, with me or just a picture of me. But there was something extra about it being in Japan. I can't lie. It made me so happy. And one of the great times that happened was that they had a random standee of the battle screen of Final Fantasy V,
Hmm.
where you could stand in it and look like where the monster would be. So we had a Team Skull grunt facing off with the Heroes of Light, you know. And of course, I had to go in there and be the villain. And I remember like you and Brian were taking pictures, and I was like, okay, great. And I'm about to like walk off, and I just hear, wait. And like, I'm like, what? And this sweet little Japanese lady was just like, a picture. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And I'm striking the pose. I'm giving her as much as I can. I didn't want to like hold up a line or anything, but like, that was so cool. And I didn't know it was going to get better because, as I mentioned, there was a corner for cosplay. No idea. Probably shouldn't have been like. Cause I know in Japan the rules can be a little bit stricter for where they want people taking photos, but
Right.
as my boys I don't know them in real life, but it's one of my favorite podcasts called Trash Taste about anime YouTubers that live in Japan now, and they talk about it. They were like, well, sometimes you got to pull that gaijin card, and like, oh, I'm sorry, didn't know, and no one said anything to me, but it was probably that inadvertent gaijin card of like, ah, he's a foreigner, he doesn't know. But we get to I don't remember if I saw it or you saw it, but like we ran into a bunch of cosplayers, and one of my favorites was that I ran into a Team Rocket grunt who also had the Team Rocket Pikachu. So got a
Such a great photo op.
yeah, I had a great picture with him holding his Team Rocket. I'm holding the Team Skull. He's doing his very military pose. I'm doing my gangsta shot that Team Skull did. Didn't we run into there was a Kamen Rider cosplayer, wasn't there?
Yeah, they actually had it was the first Kamen Rider. I believe Ichigo from the first movie that came out,
Right.
and then they also had one of the Kamen Riders from fuck, I forgot the name of it. I'm a terrible fan, but it was called Dragonite here.
Oh.
And yeah, it was Kamen Rider. Oh fuck, it started with an R. It was it was basically Dragon. Okay,
Right.
but this character was like the secondary rider, and he was a Bat Kamen Rider.
Right.
But yeah, it was awesome. Because it's cool whenever you see that stuff in a American convention, but
Right.
it's really cool whenever you see it in a Japanese convention.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of like curious. I was like, I wonder if this is actually like a good convention to cosplay at. And it turns out like Japanese people don't need a lot of like a big excuse to actually cosplay.
No,
They will show up and show out.
Yeah, oh yeah, because there was, like I said, we had Kamen Riders. We had a guy as Jason Voorhees dragging around a body in a bag.
Wow, I honestly did not remember that, but
Yeah.
like it makes sense that you would.
Oh, of
for
course,
sure.
of course. Saw that. I saw this girl who was just like, it may have been from something, but she was just like a little cat girl and kind of like, not indecent, but like in lingerie kind of thing, fully covered. And I hope she was charging because, if you do that, you do that as long as you make sure it's clear. I'm not judging anybody because I hope she was because she was just sitting there in the same pose and had a flock of old dudes just taking a million pictures of her.
Right.
And good for her. Hey, whatever. No judgment. Just like, yeah, make your money. If you did, or if you're not about that, cool. She was having a good time. She got a lot of attention. Well deserved. The outfit looked great. Then I saw to the side a grouping. I started seeing like, oh, there's another like a Pokemon trainer. Oh, there's this, and I saw then I saw the female Team Skull grunt, girl dressed in Team Skull grunt. I was like, and she was like, I don't know if they were filling out something, like maybe they were getting their photo shoot time schedule made, and I'll never forget it because like you recorded it, and like look, I don't know any English. I'm not trying to bother them. But like, and I was like, how do I get her attention? I didn't need to because I walked up and it was a oh from all the other Pokemon cosplayers, and I started kind of doing their like little like just standing animation that they do when they're not doing anything, and then she turned around and in Pokemon Sun and Moon when grunts talk. They do a lot of like hand jive move. I don't know what else to call it. Like, just hand motions of like being street toughs. And I just started doing that and she jumped right into it too.
It was so perfect.
Yeah. It was just so great and no communication needed. And all I had to do then after we got a big laugh, everyone got, and I was just like, picture. And she's like 1 second, and we got to the side. I should have like everybody, but I wasn't trying to. I didn't know what was going on. They were all at a table, so I didn't want to be rude. Be like, I'm a foreigner. Listen to what I say. But I got a picture of her. I got holding the Pikachu between us, both doing like the little hand gesture thing, and oh, that was so fucking cool. It makes me
Yeah.
so happy still to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
It was a great experience. Like, and yeah, it was 100% like our atmosphere for sure. And it was just so great to see all of the excitement and everything for your cosplay and everything. I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, and for the record, for all my bitching earlier about like, well, we're in Universal Studios, we should be out seeing Japan. While we were doing this, Becky and Michelle were at a castle in
Yeah.
Japan, getting that history that I'm whining about earlier. But I'm in
Yeah.
cosplay, damn it! I gotta feel special. I gotta feel pretty in Japan, and I did. So no regrets on that one.
Yeah, I was fairly jealous because what they were doing from the pictures and stuff looked really cool too. So that's definitely going to be something on the list for the next time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Tokage Game Show was a fucking hit. It was really
Yeah.
cool. The presentations that they had for everything was amazing. Just astounding. I think after that, like we went and ate at a place called Jerry Uno's.
Oh, that
Which
was where Jerry Uno's. Yeah,
yeah,
because we had to.
which yeah, had to. But it kind of brought up another thing that's kind of one of those cultural things, which actually we didn't really get into. So in Japan, they have vending machines all over the place,
Right.
like drinks and all that stuff. But another thing that they have, because it's such a big thing there, is cigarette vending machines. And they still have a lot of places where it's okay to smoke inside restaurants.
Right.
So that was kind of like the one like interesting thing that I'm like, huh, you're like really like advanced in some areas, but like in others it's just kind of like weird because um, people aren't even really allowed to vape inside of restaurants and stuff here.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting, but it was really really interesting that they had the like so many vending machines around the corners. Like you will literally never go thirsty as long as you have 100 yen coin on you.
Oh, for sure. Or a Suica card.
Yeah.
Because you can
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
and it's not like a swipe thing. Most devices, you tap the card. And I know those are
Hmm.
getting, like, no, not here in Arkansas. I see it occasionally. I don't know about up where you're at, but, we're
Yeah.
still in medieval times here in the South. But, like it's a lot of that tap technology going through
Hmm.
the turnstile at the subway. You're just beep, and the
Hmm.
card doesn't even have to necessarily be out as long as it's within the
Yes.
outer pocket of your wallet, or even if you get the Suica card, little holder that they sell those, so you can just beep, scan it right away. It's very cool.
Yeah. So let's see. Another thing to note that day, since we were in Tokyo, I do believe we briefly went to Shibuya for the first time.
Okay.
So that was really awesome. We got to walk around there. It was close to Valentine's Day, so there was a lot of Valentine's advertisements. One of the things that I remember Sean freaking out about that you might not remember is
Uh-oh.
there was I think it was for a lingerie store or something, but they had a Rem from Re Zero
No,
standee.
I do remember
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah,
um,
that was actually because in Japan with the more popular anime, they they celebrate character birthdays, and that was actually
yeah.
Rem's birthday. Was that
Yeah.
month basically? They put her born in February for whatever reason, and yeah,
Oh,
Rem
that means her
being
birthday is this month.
yep,
Cool.
Rem being my favorite character from the ReZero franchise.
Yeah.
Super excited. Got a few Rem stuff while we were there as well. But yeah, I do remember that. I did get a photo of that. Just because, like,
Yeah.
wow, it's just granted, yes, she's in lingerie. Don't judge me, but whatever. But it's like, whoa, like drawing attention to a singular character. Like it wasn't just a ReZero display.
Hmm.
Like they singled her out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then another cool thing, and I think this was in the top floor of the building that was in. They had the Mugiwara store.
Oh
Um,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah, which is a completely One Piece themed store. They had little standees. They even had like some gashapon. They had all kinds of art. It was just basically, if you're a One Piece fan, like you want to buy this entire store.
Yeah.
They even have like for the art that they have on the wall. And they have like, of course, plastic sealed over it and everything, but they have signatures of a lot of the cast that
Right.
does the voices, and then they also had a thing with Oda's signature. They had some really expensive shit that I really wanted. One of the things was actually Bartolomeo's jacket,
Oh,
um,
did they? I forgot.
but man, it was so pricey, and I didn't think I was going to have room for it.
Oh man.
Um, yeah, but that would have been pretty dope to have. But yeah, it was really fucking cool.
But also in that,
Again, it's
I was gonna say,
go ahead.
sorry to cut you off, but like also in that
Okay.
store, I got a couple little buggy keychains, wasn't much,
Yeah.
but they were celebrating a birthday in there too. It was if you
Oh yeah.
remember, it was Nico Robbins' birthday.
Oh
So
yes. Yeah, I actually didn't have that remembered.
we had because when we bought our stuff, 'cause I still have them in the bag. They gave us
Hmm.
like a card with her on it, and I think like a sticker is in there, as well as
Hmm.
them punching your purchase card. I
Yeah.
don't it had just Luffy on there, but I'm like, man, I'm like 4 squares away. We're not coming back. But
Yeah.
yeah, but that store was cool, and of course, when you're in Shibuya, you got to go to Shibuya Crossing,
Oh yeah.
and we had to do that.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it is absolutely unavoidable, especially when you're coming from the train. So
and you have to do it, and it's as grand as if you've ever seen video footage or ever heard about it. It's as amazing as possible because it's like 5 intersections, waiting on that light to change, and just like you know, just people crossing and going through, and it's
Mhm.
super fucking cool.
Well, I remember the funny thing was whenever we went there as well, because at this point I think it had already been almost a week since we were in Osaka, and there weren't like a lot of what am I trying to think of? There wasn't a lot of tourists and stuff that
Right.
I can remember when we were in Osaka. But when we got to Tokyo, there were a bunch, and we were like, "Oh, fucking amateurs!" People taking pictures all over the place. It's just kind of funny,
Right.
because we had only been there a week, and we were like, "Oh God, these
Oh,
tourists!" Am I
we
right?
know all this stuff. Like you guys are
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
noobs.
But it was really cool because you have this insanely busy street, and like the all the lights turn red, cars stop, and then it's just people literally everywhere, all over the place, and then the fucking lights change, and then it's just cars again. It's like really one of those like cooler like spectacles just to see how it operates and how well it operates and
Oh no,
everything. It was
absolutely.
yeah, it
And
was it was really awesome.
I was gonna say, isn't Shibuya like I don't know why I'm going blank, but was that also had the Hachi shrine was in
Yes.
Shibuya?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I almost forgot this whole thing, but I of course had family members and friends reaching out like, "Oh, you should check this out. You should check this out." And one of my aunts, like earlier, I think that day or the day before, was like, "Oh, you should go check out the statue." And I'm like, "Yeah, there's no fucking way in hell that I'm gonna like be able to find this one single. Oh, look, there it is in Shibuya Crossing, like just
Right.
sitting right there." So I had to get a selfie with it and send it to the to my aunt. But I still haven't seen that movie. So remind me what the story is behind that statue.
If I'm not mistaken, the
Hmm.
statue is if you've seen Futurama, it's Fry's dog. Like it is literally, I believe, like it was the story of a Shiba Nui breed of
Yeah.
dog, whose owner, like the long and short of it is, the owner passed away, but Hachi was named the dog. Always came to the station waiting for him.
Hmm.
So they eventually made a shrine remembering the story. Like that's the long and
Yeah.
short. There may be more details.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen the movie
Yeah.
either, but I kind of know like the
Oh,
legend.
gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
like the legend of
Yeah. No.
Hachi is that.
Yeah, it was really it was really a beautiful statue and everything, and yeah, it's I mean it's got to be really touching for them to put like a statue and everything
Yeah,
just to go
for
that
sure.
length. So the next thing that I have, and something that I actually didn't mention, the train ride that we took from Osaka to Tokyo was a fairly long one. I think it was about what 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so while we were traveling,
Oh yes,
I couldn't sleep at all during this. I was so pumped to see like the
yeah.
countryside of
Oh,
Japan,
which is
and
just
like just to
beautiful,
see,
by the way. Just
yeah,
yeah, seeing like from
seeing.
farm to like going from like like busy neighborhood in a city to just
Mhm.
starting to see the countryside. And of course,
Yeah,
oh,
and it was snowing a lot of the
I was gonna
places
say
too.
you would get like
Yeah.
patches where it's a lot of snow, then not because
Mhm.
we're in
Yeah.
February, I guess, and it just varies.
And the big thing that we saw
Yeah.
on our way that was just oh man, it was so like emotional. Honestly, just seeing this was Mount Fuji, and it
Oh
was such a
yeah.
beautiful like clear day. And I actually it was kind of I didn't know it was coming up right, so of course the first time I tried to snap pictures of it and didn't get it, but on the way
Right.
back, like I knew it was coming up, so I'm like okay. I've got to stand up, get to a window and just kind of like just take it in.
Right.
And it was such a great just thing in general.
Yeah, like we were
I
we were a long
Yeah.
ways from him, from Fujisan as they call him, and
Mhm.
but yeah, that was just like I saw Mount Fuji in person. It may not have been in close, it may have been from the inside of a bullet train, but you see something so iconic. It's one of those iconic things in life that you have to see.
Right. And then I think after that we because like my pictures get a little less and less because I
Right.
started running out of space on my phone. I like did not prepare to take so many pictures.
Right.
The next stuff that I have is for Tokyo.
Right.
Whenever we actually went and stayed in Tokyo, and we were actually like outskirts of the city, so it was pretty nice. Just kind of like being able to see the city from where we were, but not having to deal with like the busyness of the city. I think I actually have pictures of you here with Final Fantasy stuff, like a bunch of Final Fantasy stuff. So I
Yes.
believe
And
that was after we went to Shibuya, right?
I think
Or
it was possible.
Akihabara.
Well, like depending on when you took that picture, yeah. Which
Mhm.
we'll get to that. I want to talk a little bit about around our Airbnb. That's where we got to our
Yeah.
first
Oh yeah.
actual grocery store
Yeah.
in Japan. Where after weeks, I say week of months, years in Japan of no chalky milk, I'm again coffee after failure. Jerry, big brain Jerry, was like, bro, buy milk and Hershey syrup. Like, this is why I love you. But got more foods there. That's where I first tried my yakisoba bread, another one of my
Mhm.
anime trope meals. I don't know if I needed to heat them up or find fresh ones, 'cause they weren't great. But
Yeah.
had to try it. They weren't. But we did rice balls. I'd done this, just trying to get everything. And we
Bro,
can't.
I bought PB and J from the grocery store so I can make some
Yeah,
PB and J
but
sandwiches
you
while we
bought.
were there. Because
Yeah,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
bought
but we
Japanese
weren't
bread,
super. Oh yeah, yeah, no, and that
which is
was
different than
awesome.
how what we
Yeah,
have. It's
well, like
yeah.
like
Go ahead.
even the brand of peanut butter that they had, it was just way smoother than
Right.
what we have here, and yeah, it was a really great and enjoyable peanut butter and jelly sandwich, Sean.
Hey
Like
man,
real.
like I went into debt and credit card debt and all my money blown. But like I didn't have to go to peanut butter and jelly, but I've been there. I understood what you were doing, and I think I even pretty sure I help trying to help so you could buy because I knew
Yeah.
we hadn't hit Akihabara yet. But
Oh
my
yes.
boy got to buy stuff. I'll buy you. I think I bought you lunch a couple times. More than happy
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, and I was like, listen, I got this much money left. I'm
yeah.
gonna be eating PB and J a little bit.
I saw
It's
it.
gonna be
I felt bad
okay.
for my boy, so I had to make sure at least when we went out and ate, yeah, you got some
Mhm.
authentic Japanese food. But
Oh man.
outside, like we of course we get to our new Airbnb. It's a nice. It's
Mhm.
nice. The bed for me wasn't super comfortable. Then I found those tatami mats, or the futons. I mean, rolled up in there, and I
Mm.
like put like three of them on the bed. And I finally got comfortable.
Yeah.
But we had yeah, we were comfortable there, and of course we're like, well, where's the 7-Eleven? And Brian's like, well, we have the grocery store right there. I said, where's the 7-Eleven? And it was a bit of a walk. It was a couple
Mm.
blocks, a few blocks down the way, right past the prison. And
Oh yeah, yeah,
we were
right.
like, wow, that's I mean, we know they exist, but it's like, huh, we're outside of prison. And then what was so cool for me was there was a neighborhood shrine across the
Mm-hmm.
street from it for the local neighborhood for them to pray at. And it was, this
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, the red arches, and I can't think of the name of it. They're actually not called arches, but it was all nice. And I still remember though behind
You're
it,
talking about Tory Gates?
Tory Gates, thank you. Behind the main shrine, there was a small shrine completely fenced off. Like there's no way to get back to it. I angled as best I could to get photos, and it had a bunch of fox statues all around
Mm-hmm.
it. And I remember looking at you going, Jerry, if we break that seal, we're going to unleash a fox demon on the world. And the most typical anime thing possible to say, of course, there has to be a hidden fox demon, in a shrine. But you know what? We're in Japan. We're going to weeb out as we want to. Then of course we,
Yeah.
we hit the 7-Eleven. We got our foodstuffs and enjoyment. And then I believe it was day one was Akihabara
Yes.
because Brian doesn't
We
fuck around.
actually, yeah, day one of Tokyo was actually nuts from what I can tell,
Right.
because I think we went to Aki, and then I believe, so let's see, what was the big store that we went to in Akihabara?
Oh Lord.
Um,
I know we hit a few stores I remember specifically was Super
mhm,
Potato, which was a video game center stuff where I got a lot of those Final Fantasies you mentioned. We hit up Lord, we had that big anime like figure store that had all the glass display cases, which
yeah.
like again I'm sadly going blank on a lot of the names. I mean, but and the we hit we saw the Gundam Cafe, which we did eat at. I remember seeing
Right.
that. I remember I got harassed by a monk wanting money, and I didn't
Oh
understand at
yeah, yeah, yeah,
first. He was just like,
yeah, yeah,
sign this book, have this charm,
yeah,
and he was like Buddhist monk, like in robes and everything. Then he was like,
yeah.
give money. I'm like, whoa, 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 buddy. I got anime
uh,
toys to buy.
so yeah, no, we have to go buy figures of anime titties at Madarake.
Madarake,
Um,
yes, yes,
yeah.
Madarake. That that was the multi-floor
Hmm.
store. That's where I got that one of my favorite finds. Besides, of course, I got like literally I had bought six at that Acon Final Fantasy 6 on Super
Hmm.
Famicom in box for $50 from an anime convention. You know what? I was happy to get it. That's my favorite Final Fantasy of all time. But when I knew
Hmm.
once I found out we were going to Japan, I'm like, okay, I'm getting the rest. And of course, I got the rest. Some of them in box for like $10 a piece. Cause
Yeah, yeah.
and but what I also found, going back to when I mentioned how pre-owned is judged by the smallest little dings can bring down the price, I got an amazing. It's one of my favorite Buggy statues. He's
Hmm.
the dark, all shadowed out one. The box,
Yeah.
like the figure's in pristine condition. I remember the box having a little ding in the corner, like $30. I remember checking on Amazon. Granted America, of course, it was like $150 statue.
Hmm. Yeah, it was one of those claw machine games. I
Oh,
believe.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those prizes or whatever, because
Yeah,
those are really
that's a
big over there too. And a
big,
lot of
yeah,
times, yeah, and a lot of times, what people will do is they'll play those games and get those,
right.
and then they'll just go sell them to places like Madarake and yeah,
Yeah,
the bookstore we were talking about
book
earlier
off.
too.
Yeah, the book
Book off,
offs
yeah,
and
yeah,
Madarake's. But yeah, we had,
yeah.
and I mean, there's so many stores
Hmm.
with tons of affordable. Like I said, I found the Akiba Rangers super cheap. I think
Hmm.
that wasn't in Akihabara, but just like all the stuff I found. Of course, we're not paying import fees. We're not paying
Hmm.
people who had to pay import fees to ship it over here to sell at a convention in America. But I do
Right.
remember in one store where there was a bunch of like Transformers, and of course I'm looking through them looking for Soundwave stuff. Didn't really find
Mhm.
anything, but I remember I saw an American like Beast Wars toy
Oh yeah.
in this packaging, and it was like $200. And I was like, why
Hmm.
is this one so rare? And I'm like, wait, this is American pack import fees. Like this is there's a market for American toys over there
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's the foreign toy to them. You kind of forget
Hmm.
that, I guess. And I remember that's kind of that realization, like, okay, that's very cool. But
Hmm.
uh, we had and I know, like I said, we went to a ton of stores in there, like Super Potato, great video game store. I picked up, and I said I picked up Final Fantasies, just completing that collection. And like, was it Akihabara that had that mall we went to, or am I getting ahead of us?
I
With
believe that was it.
the
If
life size Gundam?
Oh no, that
Nope.
was not it.
Okay, get ahead of ourselves.
That will be soon. That will be
Sorry,
soon.
sorry.
Um, so as you know, fate would have it. When we went to Japan, it just so happened to be the same time that a new Sentai series was launching. And another interesting thing over there, you know how like, when they're getting ready to release a movie or a show or something over here, they're like, yes, put all the toys and stuff like that out. Let's gain buzz for it and sell this shit to people before they know how it is.
Right,
In Japan, they're like, nope, we're not releasing any of it till the first episode of it,
right.
releases. So it was real great. Woke up that morning and watched me the first episode, airing that morning of Q Ranger.
Yes.
It was the Constellation Super Sentai. And then I'm pretty sure like that same day or that same week, we actually went to a Yodobashi camera. And this is basically what I had been saving my money up is I wanted
Right.
the driver that helps them transform, and then I wanted the specific Stinger was the Orange Ranger's name. I
Right.
wanted his robot with his Q globe, so I can use it on the changer, and like that basically like was such a great like point of the trip for me because I was like, man, I got to watch a first episode of Super Sentai, and
Yeah.
I got to buy a toy as soon as it came out. And then it was funny because you guys were talking whenever we went outside, and I was like checking my stuff out. There was this little kid with his grandfather, and the kid like literally had every single toy from it, and he
Right.
bought like the sword and everything. Like it was pretty funny. It's pretty comical. You're like you really wanted that sword, didn't you? And I was like, yeah, I probably should have got
Yeah,
it.
I should have bought it for you,
uh,
but seeing the kid with it and you not made me happy. So
Yeah, right, right. I think another thing we did that day after that Yodobashi camera was I want to say it was just you, Michelle, and I, and we went to the Square Enix cafe.
oh yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
by it,
That was an
yeah.
Akihabara.
And, and like the funny like slash kind of sad thing about it at that time was they had a new Dragon Quest game coming out, so they didn't have a lot of Final Fantasy stuff for Sean, but they had a lot of Dragon
A
Quest
lot
stuff.
of Dragon Quest,
Uh,
some good
yeah,
food,
but
and I still
yeah.
got. They had some Final Fantasy merch. I got. It was the 30th, which is it kind of made me mad because I'm not a Dragon Quest guy, but I
Hmm.
still appreciated like the art and the decor they had. But this was the
Yeah,
year
yeah,
of the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy, and the
yeah,
store was still done up like Dragon Quest
yeah.
because I got a
Well, they were
bag.
releasing two Dragon Quest games, right?
Yeah, the monsters. Yeah, Joker
Yeah.
or whatever. But because I remember
Hmm.
I bought a Toneberry keychain, or actually
Hmm.
a phone thing where you plug into the headphone set
Yeah.
or
Yep.
headphone jack, and I want to say I got something else, but like, and I got a 30th anniversary bag, a little cloth,
Hmm.
tote bag for it. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, and we ate there. They had steamed dumplings looking like the Dragon Quest slimes, and
Hmm.
yeah, I had a good little meal there.
Man, I don't even like. I'm not even a huge fan of all that stuff. Like,
Right,
I appreciate what it has done for the genre of video games, and I really like a lot of designs and stuff from it. I've
right,
never really gotten into it, I really wanted to buy a fucking king slime. They had like little like metallic figures of them and stuff, and I
Oh
really
yeah,
was
yeah.
fighting back not buying one because when you're in Japan, you want to buy everything.
Of course.
Um, so we're in Tokyo. Sean, what's a thing that's in Tokyo?
I don't know what order we're going in. uh,
Tokyo Tower, Sean. It's
Tokyo
Tokyo
Tower.
Tower.
Okay, well, I got other
Yes.
things too, and I'm
So
excited to talk. But yes, Tokyo Tower. Yes.
Tokyo Tower. Um, and one of the big things that Tokyo Tower is known for is One Piece. And I believe we didn't know that at the time, right?
Yeah, like we didn't know
So
there was anything specifically going on in Tokyo Tower related to One
yeah,
Piece.
yeah. So we are like, yeah, let's go to Tokyo Tower. This is gonna be great. And we walk up to Tokyo Tower, and the first thing we see is this humongous freaking snow globe
Yep.
that has a life-size chopper in it. And it's like animatronic and moving around. We're like, okay, this is interesting. That's awesome. First off, so come to find out, Tokyo Tower is also known as One Piece Tower,
Yep.
and on the base floor they have the Mugiwara Cafe, and they have a Mugiwara store in there, or the Tokyo Tower One Piece store.
Right.
Um, which is awesome. So we're like, yes, we have to do everything. We have to do all this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But then also come to find out, the next like 2 floors of Tokyo Tower is all One Piece themed. So we went to the cafe and got some great fucking food. There were people like dressed as characters from it. There were foods that were themed off of the different crew members.
Oh,
They
was
had this.
your food good?
My food was decent.
Mine wasn't. Let me go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm gonna talk
yeah,
about it. Remember 13 years ago when we started this episode, and I mentioned
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't drink sodas. I
Right.
wasn't
Oh,
drinking
right.
sodas at the time,
Yeah.
but they had a Zorro soda drink. And I'm like,
Hmm.
my boy Zorro got a drink. Came with 3
Yeah.
straws, like his 3 swords, and it was disgusting. Then I'm like, well, you know what? Okay, I don't drink sodas. I'll chalk it up. Bad drinks happen. But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they had the Luffy pizza. We wanted to eat up. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just it's a meat. In my mind, I'm thinking meat lover pizza. No, it's a cold flatbread with just cold um meat, strips of meat, uh, just slapped on it. And
Mhm.
maybe I'm just not cultured, but
Listen, Sean, they can't all be bangers, okay?
it was not a banger, but it was an amazing experience.
I actually have a pretty great picture of all 4 of the drinks that we got.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you got the Zorro drink. It actually came with 3 straws that
right.
had like sheets or like
The guards.
hand guards.
Yeah, yeah,
I got a Law soda that had like foam at the top that had the Heart Pirates logo on it.
right,
It looks like somebody had a Brook drink that looks like kind of like a milkshake, and it had a little flag coming out of the straw and a little chocolate music note. And then someone else got a like a strawberry looking shake that was like Corona based, so it was like pink and red, and then
right.
it had a little umbrella coming out of it, so it was real cute. And then what I got were these little like they look like chicken sandwiches, and it was supposed to be based like Zorro based. So it had like green buns, so they use like food dye in the buns. The I will say my one of my bigger disappointments about this is we did not know at the time that the coasters are collectibles, and I fucking left my coaster there. Yeah,
I don't know if I took
yeah.
mine either. Oh,
Yeah. So one of the other really awesome things that they had in the Mugiwara or the Cafe Mugiwara, other than like the props and the people dressed up and the stuff like that, they had a writing
yeah,
desk that was essentially based off of Oda's own writing desk, and it was really fucking cool because it had pages of the manga all over it, and they were like strung up to where they were coming from, like or like going up to the ceiling and stuff. So they were like kind of scattered, and it just looked so cool. It was man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of the neater parts just early on, and we only just
Mhm.
started in this One
Oh
Piece
yeah.
tower. But yeah,
Yeah.
seeing how like it was like I don't remember if I don't think they had the pile of cigarette butts because they weren't going to address that part of his life, but
Right.
the
Right.
messiness. But yeah, just like
Mhm.
his creation floating above the workstation. That was a
Mhm.
beautiful display for Oda.
Mhm. Oh man. And then like, then it was time to actually check out the rest of Tokyo Tower.
Yeah,
And when you first walk in, you have the music playing and you have standees, like life-size standees of all the characters. And like occasionally you'll hear their voice and whenever they're talking like a little spotlight will go over them. And we got tickets for all this stuff, so we go up the stairs and there's literally like just neat little things everywhere. They had this
right.
giant like Kuma where you couldn't see like the top half of him, and then whenever you're going up the escalator, if you turn around, you could see the other half of him.
Right.
And then we watched a One Piece live show, which was
So cool.
fantastic. They had I can't remember what was going on at the time. I think it was probably close to Punk Hazard, because Law and Smoker and Doflamingo were really big parts of the play that they put on.
Oh yeah.
They had this really cool like round room that kind of took you through like the story of it. That was really cool. And they had a lot of participation and stuff in the live show, which was really neat. And they were like, it's okay to take pictures, just don't take videos. Um, and that was like, man, it was just such a cool thing. And it's like, if I would have gone to Japan and I would have just, if I was there for like 2 or 3 days and
Right.
only got to see Tokyo Tower, I feel like I would have felt fulfilled in that trip.
Dude, like yeah.
It's kind of funny,
Like
like
no doubt, from especially as One
yeah,
Piece fans like we are,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that alone would have made the entire trip worthwhile
Hmm.
because not only from the merch to even the food, I wasn't happy with mine, but it was still that One Piece
Hmm.
theme to the displays of like the life size weapons and seeing how big
Hmm.
like Mihawk's sword is and
Oh, I
Fujitori's
know,
cane sword because
man.
it's life accurate to the stage show with these actors. Like some highlights was like I loved when Chopper went into like fluff mode, whatever. It was basically they were
Yeah,
bouncing the ball back and forth, hitting
yeah.
like a beach ball back and forth, and using
Hmm.
just the practical effects of making Luffy stretch. It was like the fist always went behind the pillar, then all of a sudden you saw the hand stretch out from
Hmm.
behind it.
Hmm.
So fucking cool, and it was
Yeah.
just like
Uh,
so much to see and do. And then, do you remember we actually had the what's it called 4D theater where they had a
uh,
they were playing some clip, obviously in Japanese with no subtitles. I don't know what's going on, but
oh
we were
yeah,
actually getting sprayed with like wind and
yeah,
mist, and then
yeah,
like that
yeah.
was super fucking cool.
Yeah, and like, man, it just kind of like reignited all those, like, that passion and stuff for the series.
Oh yeah,
Um, because like one of the things, like, you were walking along, and they had different little areas set up, and it had like, there was one wall that was essentially like every emotional scene from One
oh
Piece,
yeah,
and then after you go past that, they have like little setup things set up. So like one of them was Shanks putting the hat on Luffy as a kid, and in the background there's like a projector, and it's projecting like, him, first saying he wants to be king of the pirates and stuff like that. And then they had another one that was Nami's map drawing desk in Arlong Park, and it basically shows the scene where Luffy puts the hat on her and everything. And it's just like, this. There was even a huge thing with like, if you look up, like, it's a basically like this huge hole like in the ceiling, and when you look up, there's like, it looks like water's cascading down, and you could see in his lobby,
yeah.
and on the projector on it, you saw all the straw hats like standing on the pillars, and there's like a Robin saying she wants to live and everything, and like, man, it was just like, recapturing everything to do with the series. And they had like just a lot of stuff like bringing in the fights of that Luffy has had, a lot of really cool like newspaper clippings that they
Right.
actually made. for the world of One Piece and everything, just like talking about the Straw Hats and Luffy and everything. And they even had, like Sean said, they had Mihawk swords, they had replicas of Zoro's swords, pretty much any weapon that you could think of, they had up there. They just had so much cool shit up there. We got a picture standing or sitting on the admiral chairs.
Yeah, we
you
did.
know, I got a picture sitting next to Law, and Sean was in the background with Beppo.
Right.
Yeah, it was just like a really cool experience. And at the very end of it, they had a Din Din Mushi that was specifically for Tokyo Tower. So that was kind of like their mascot,
Right.
for Tokyo Tower for the One Piece section of it was this Din Din Mushi. And man, it was just so cool. It was so fun. I would absolutely do it again if I went
Oh yeah,
back.
that would be. And my understanding was, like, I think we caught one of the last shows for that particular stage play,
Hmm.
and like they do new shows like they do the same show for like a couple of years or like a year. So like next time we go back, it'll be a completely different show, and I'm
Hmm.
sure they're going to be additional stuff with all the things that have happened in One Piece in
Hmm.
the 4+ years now since we've been there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that is, if you're a One Piece fan and you make it to Japan, it's a must go to for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a really cool experience, Yeah, and obviously, go see all the amazing cultural things and all the historical
Oh,
places and
absolutely.
stuff like that. But man, just like seeing that side of Japanese culture is like so fun.
Right.
It's so great how much work and everything they put into it. I believe Tokyo Tower was the last point of that day, because it was getting kind of dark then.
Yeah.
Um, so the next day that I had, we actually had lunch at Crunchyroll HQ.
Yes, we did.
Because all of our friends work for Crunchyroll, so we got to go and hang out
Yep.
and eat lunch with them, and it was a real nice sit down meal. And we got to meet some of the fine folks that worked for Crunchyroll then. But then the most important part of the trip, we went to a little place called Diver City.
Oh yeah.
Diver City was the mall that Sean mentioned before. And the thing that made Diver City special is they are known for their life-size 1/1 scale Gundam statue.
Oh yeah. That was
It's
super cool.
it's 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 grand. It was Granddaddy. It was Gramps at the point. RX-78. I think it was actually RX-78 too. We won't get into semantics on that, but so again, our timing was fucking amazing because they were literally getting ready to take it down and put up a new Gundam statue in like a couple of months. So we got up there and I got to see this awesome thing that I've only seen online of this giant statue, Gundam statue that they put up. They had an awesome store up top with like pods that you could do virtual reality Gundam stuff in. And it was that was a really awesome experience, an awesome day for us. I Yeah,
Yeah, that
it was
was.
just incredible.
'Cause I'm not the biggest Gundam guy, but like
Mhm.
seeing the store that had all the Gunpla built in those display cases, as well as
Yeah.
obviously kits for sale. But
Mhm.
yeah, the star of that show was the life size Gundam that was in there,
Yeah.
and I want to say it was the same day that we got near uh, Tokyo Stadium,
I
because
believe so.
like you wanted to definitely hit up the Gundam statue.
Hmm.
I wanted to hit up the New Japan Pro Wrestling store, or Tokyo Dome is what it's
Right.
called. I'm sorry. And I like
Right.
we're in the Tokyo Dome. I had looked up like if any wrestling shows because I'm a big pro wrestling fan. That's not something we've talked about on this show. I don't believe.
Hmm.
And I'm like, we're in Japan. I want to see a wrestling show if we can. And the only thing
Right.
I found, and I couldn't really read what the show was, but clearly sold out. For those who know wrestling, it was Wrestle Kingdom, which is basically Japan's WrestleMania. It's like the biggest show of the
Gotcha.
year, multi days. So I couldn't get tickets, but I'm like, well, let me find a New Japan store. and we found a small one, a little like hole in the wall kind of store, which is what you'll run into in Japan a lot. But they pack in
Yeah.
so much good stuff, and had to get a photo in front of the logo, doing the too sweet for the Bullet Club and formerly the NWO. Went in there, got some merch. We've been running Pokemon Go so much, my battery kept dying. I had to keep, you know, stealing y'all's chargers, like or actually my charger. I bought a little cheap shit one from like Walmart, and
Yeah.
it died. But we were in there, and I saw a Bullet Club charger. I'm like, well, I'm getting that. I got the wife a New Japan meets Hello Kitty shirt, and I'm like, well, okay, I'm in Japan. I'm in a wrestling store. One of my favorite wrestlers in general, but my Japanese favorite is the Great Muta. So I gotta find something Great Muta. I know he hadn't really worked in New Japan much, but like I
Hmm.
gotta try, right? So I was like looking around. I found one figure in a display case. And I was like, like how much? No sign on it. I was like, how much? And he was like, the clerk was so nice. He's like, not for sale. He looked really sad. I was like, no. I looked at him and said, Great Muta #1. He was like, yes. Now buy this. And yeah, so I got that, and that was a great, just my little bit of getting some Japanese wrestling in there as well. No,
Hmm.
had to get that swag for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know that was like a good pinnacle for you as well.
Yes,
Like, man, just the small stuff like that. And like you said, there are a lot of places that are just like hidden, and you won't ever find them unless you like stumble upon them or you specifically know that they exist.
right.
Um, a place that's not a hole in the wall though that we also went to while we were in Tokyo was a Tokyo Skytree,
Yeah, yep.
which is the tallest tower in Japan. That was pretty awesome. Of course, we had to go there because Brian had to do his thing.
Had to get up. Had to get to the
Um,
tall towers. Got to do it.
oh yes. My favorite thing about that was they had a glass floor, and Brian like really like kind of messed with some people.
Right.
Like he went, and everybody was looking down it, and he kind of went to step on it and kind of did like a shake. Was like, oh my god! Everybody like, I don't know, it was really funny. Um, and so another cool place that we went to while we were staying in Tokyo, among the 5,000 that we've already mentioned,
Right.
we went to Kawasaki, and we went to this old, rundown, dilapidated building.
Yes, we
Um,
did.
that had these really iron rusted doors, and you're just like, what the fuck is this place? The doors open and it looks like you're in a sewer, and turn the corner, there's a sign that says no pictures, and there was an escalator, and you go up, and whenever you get to the top of the escalators, it looks like a fucking run down like slum of a city, and you turn around and it's this humongous fucking arcade, and it was the Forbidden City arcade. It
Yes,
was
yes.
so cool, and it's another one of those things of like I've seen videos for, and I never ever imagined that I would ever get to go to it or get to experience it. And yeah, it was just so cool. Like they had multiple floors, and each floor had a different type of game setup and everything. And of course, with how cool it is, they don't want they want everybody to have a unique visit whenever they go to it, so they don't really want people to see videos and stuff of it. And unfortunately, I just found out, I think not too long ago, that they closed down
They
like a
did.
year or so ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was sad. 'Cause I remember when that posted, we shared it on social medias about how we actually so glad we got to go because it was super
Hmm.
cool. Like the ground floor
Yeah.
had I like fighting games, and I spent some good time on some
Hmm.
random rhythm games. Not like what we know. We
Hmm.
only get like
Oh
DDR over
yeah.
here, but this
Oh
one had like
man, they are crazy about some fucking rhythm games.
I had one particular I was really enjoying where it was this kind of like touching colored lights on the screen, but it was to like
Mm.
anime openings and endings, which is super
Yeah.
cool, which kind of hard to hear with all the other shit
Yeah.
going on in there,
Yeah.
but a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
fun. But
Hmm.
the big highlight, and I'm so glad y'all break rules because my boy Brian recorded this. We got to the second floor, which I think was the crane games, which I regret us not at least trying to get some crane prizes.
Hmm.
But I wasn't about that. Went up another floor, and I think that was where maybe it was the same floor as pachinko and like the crane games. and like I can smell cigarette smoke. Like I'm not worried about trying out pachinko.
Right.
Top floor. What do I see that's not available in the States? Not available on home console yet. Tekken 7 arcade
Mm-hmm.
machines. And I was like, I can't use. I love Tekken. Tekken is my fighting game, and I can't use arcade sticks. I've never. That's why I've
Mm-hmm.
never been big in there. Always home console. 'Cause I need my controller, except for Tekken 5, which lets you plug PS2 controllers into the arcade unit. But I didn't care. I'm like, I'm getting on here. I'm getting my ass kicked. And I grab my main guy, and Brian Fury, and I can't do shit with the arcade stick because I press back and I'm pressing down, and I'm like, that's messing up. Like, fuck it, going to my secondary. King. Got to do the Japanese wrestler, right? And Brian recorded me, and I'm like, it's back and forth. I'm playing, and it's that cool Japanese setup where you have just your own arcade, and you're playing somebody else who may not even be in that same building because they had online play.
Yeah.
But like you have your own dedicated screen, so I'm going. I'm getting my ass whooped. Brian's recording, and he's got the footage probably on his page. But I got one win. I won all the rounds, and I was just so excited. I legit, you know me. I'm like I get excited, but I don't get like I'm not hopping around. I hopped out of my seat. I struck the great Muda pose. I don't know why. I had to. It was a victory. And then I got my ass kicked the rest of the time. But I got one win in a Japanese arcade on Tekken with my secondary player King, and that was awesome. And then the other thing we saw in the arcade was Dissidia, the Final Fantasy fighting game,
Oh, right.
had the arcade
Yeah.
with its weird motorcycle controls. The game fucking sucks. I'm sorry. If y'all like Dissidia, fucking enjoy your life. Dissidia sucks as a fighting game, but I grabbed Kefka from part 6 in my team. I lost quickly. It's a beautiful game. I hate the controls. I hate everything about it, but I had to play it. Had to play that one. But that
That's so
arcade
great.
was super cool.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I mean, and just like props to them for like the setup of it and how cool it looked.
No, absolutely. Was this the
Yeah.
same night we met Brian's friend?
Yeah, actually, I think it may have been. We went to Shibuya, and it might have been the night before, or the
Yeah.
night after. I can't
But
honestly cannot remember because
when
they start to blur together whenever
right,
we went to Tokyo.
exactly. Like I remember, I only took a picture of the outside because again, a lot of places don't really want a whole lot of photos other than like probably you take a picture with your friends, but like they wouldn't have wanted me just walking around taking pictures of their setup. But I just remember the outside stood out because it was a small little bar, and
Mhm.
the front window had the candy bowl holders for Halloween. Like they had Freddy
Mhm.
Krueger, but he didn't have a bowl. He had a Dennis the Menace doll in his hands, and next to him were some very like worn down Donald Duck bowling pins that look like they're from the
Mhm.
1940s,
Yeah.
and it was so creepy. I loved it. I had to take a picture. And I remember my first time I posted that, I'm like, if you see this in the front window of a bar, go in there because the food is awesome. And it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where we had like, they brought us in all kind of different great food. The a special memory that I remember though was that we had a bowl of sashimi, which is just that the big chunks of raw fish, uh, and baby squid. And again, I'm living my life of like I ain't saying no to what's put in front of me. So I dunked that fucking baby squid, whole baby squid, in some soy sauce, and I ate that motherfucker, and it was good. It was fresh. It was delicious.
Yeah. I honestly can say that I really don't remember what I had whenever we went there.
I remember
I
like
I, I remember.
so
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say like I remember the sashimi, and I think we nicknamed it the American sushi roll because it was
Oh
like
yeah.
hamburger rolled in Doritos or something.
Oh
And that
yeah.
shit
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
good. I
Yeah. It
hate
was
to be that
fire.
I'm not American. They know their market. But like we got that. We had a
Hmm.
few other like I don't think we didn't really do sushi when we went there surprisingly enough. In Japan, I don't remember us really having a lot of any if any sushi. But we had that. We had a few it was bar food.
Hmm.
Brian's friend, I can't remember his name, and I doubt he'll ever hear this, but thank you because he
Hmm.
treated us that night. Great
Hmm.
guy. Actually, I believe he was Brian's former boss, his original boss before the company got bought by
Hmm.
out by
Right.
who they are now. But that was a fun night, just in a little bar, sitting on like we had. Remember, it was kind of like floor seats, but we had like little holes for our feet to go into. But that was just a fun little like hey, we're in a bar, we're having a good time,
Yeah.
and that's where
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna finally pull the trigger because there was something you said we were gonna do in Japan, and I said I'm gonna wait for you to pull the trigger on it because I don't drink. I don't touch the alcohol. And you promised we were gonna do you said you wanted to do a shot of sake with me in Japan.
Yes.
And I thought,
Yes.
okay, I never was gonna bring it up or like, hey man, when are we doing this? It's up to you.
Right.
Never pulled the
Yeah.
trigger, but I was like, okay, we're in a bar. He's gonna finally make me
Right.
drink alcohol. you know?
Man. Yeah, and that's one of those things. Like in hindsight,
Yeah.
it would have been expensive, but I really wish I would have drank more in Japan. But yeah, no, we've got some good stuff, some stuff that I would recommend out here. So we'll have to save it for whenever you come to visit out here
um,
or our next Japan
yeah, I don't. No, I'm sorry, bro. I don't give a shit about drinking sake in America.
trip. I know.
So
But
yeah,
anyway,
Japan, we're gonna do it. So all right, so we
um,
had those. What we got? I know you got a better timeline than what I have. I'm just purely going off
um,
memory.
so the day after that, it was whenever we went to the Polar Bear Cafe.
Oh
Which,
yeah.
if any of you remember the Polar Bear manga slash anime, that was Polar Bear Cafe. They have, like we said earlier, they have different themed cafes and stuff like that that they just go 100% on, and just like completely like deck this place out in cool stuff and food that's based off of that stuff. So the Polar Cafe was really cute. They had like the characters set up in there and different dishes and drinks and stuff like that, based off of them, and little like stuffed animals and stuff like that. It was really cute.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, just like I said, the food was good. Meeting the mangaka was
Hmm.
super cool, and like I said, I love how she was just very low key, just very polite. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Turns out Michelle was friends with her on Twitter,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so we got to hang out. And then I think after that we went to the Pokemon Center in Tokyo.
All right.
And yeah, check that out. I actually think that's whenever I bought some Pokemon cards for a friend of mine
Oh,
that
nice,
used
nice.
to have a YouTube channel for it. We actually saw a Stuffle while we were there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, walking around. Like at first it was like people were crowding and I just could not figure out why, and then find out there's this person in a Stuffle costume.
I
Um,
don't think I got anything from the store itself. I think I was trying to find a proper Team Skull beanie at these Pokemon
mhm.
stops, and they didn't have them, or I was not seeing them. But I did score a Team Skull Pikachu keychain from a Gachapon outside of the store.
Hell yeah. And then I think that evening we actually went to a big place that was on your list, and that's the other Square Enix cafe, Artnia.
Artnia, yeah. Which, but before we got to Artnia,
Mm.
it was right near, not like their headquarters, but
Mhm.
it was a Square Enix
Yeah,
office building. Cause
right.
I remember that. Cause I was like, cause Brian's like, hey, we're going near a Square Enix building. I'm like, oh, can we go inside? He goes, probably not, because it's not
Not a
like a
cafe.
development studio or anything. It's literally just people who do the boring number crunching for
Mhm.
them are working there. But there was a big white sign with the Square Enix written on it, and had to get a photo of that, of course. But then, yeah, Artnia was, if I remember right, was just kind of like a block down from there. And this was, like I said, we went to the Final Fan or the Square Enix Cafe, but now Artnia was 100% Final Fantasy.
Mhm.
Had a
Yeah.
huge display room with like all the super multi-$100 figures in a room with like a cascading fountain of materia from Part 7, those colored spheres,
Mhm. Yeah.
which was just beautiful. And a bunch of overpriced stuff that I'm pretty sure I bought something from there. uh, but I know we had good food. At this point I was like a little like, okay, my money's starting to run low. We're getting later into the
Yeah.
thing. because I got like just a meat sample tray or something. It was really like strips of meat with like some a tomato on it or something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I got that because it was cheap. Because I wanted, because this is all overpriced. And you're in a specialty restaurant, this is where you're going to pay the big bucks.
Yeah.
Because they had one dessert that came in its own collectible mug that had a chocobo on it, and it was like a little like ice cream or a pudding or something. I don't remember exactly what, but luckily that was in like its own little plastic cup within the cup. So basically, you ate that out, threw the plastic away, and you had a collector's mug that came in a box. I'm looking at it right now on my shelf. And then me and
Didn't
yeah,
we also save the coasters from it though, right? I think
I saved the napkin pack from it. I didn't
okay.
open the napkins until my wife did not
Uh,
too long ago.
she's like, we're out of napkins, and she just finds these like collectible napkins laying about. She's like, well, guess I'm using these.
Well, it said Artney on it. I had to keep it. But we
Yeah,
also
yeah.
got some parfaits that were character based. I know Becky got the Yuffie from Seven. It had a chocolate version of her giant ninja star weapon, and I got
Nice. Yeah.
I got the cloud one because it had banana in it, but also had coffee. Yuck! But they had the bananas sticking out of it like his spiky blonde hair, and a giant chocolate Buster sword just kind of stuck in there. And I remember it just being very expensive. I think I remember I did buy like I think I bought dinner for everybody that night. I was cause I was like running low, but hey, this is my last big spend here. So I bought dinner for everyone. I
Right.
absolutely loved it. I was super happy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. It was fun. It's a good time.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so from there, because like I said, we're nearing I believe the end of our
Yeah.
yeah. We
Yeah, so I think this was close to the last day because the next memories that I have, um, the Owl Cafe that we went to,
right.
really, really cute thing that our group wanted to do. We went to a little Owl Cafe. Actually, I think while we were waiting to go to the Owl Cafe, I was hungry, so I went and ate fucking Subway because
You
I had to try it, you
Yeah,
know?
because you
Um,
were employed by Subway in America
yeah, at the time.
at the time.
So, but then we had the Owl Cafe where they actually have owls. It's like a little owl sanctuary, and you go in and you get like a little drink and you get to walk around, and they give you special instructions on how to like handle the owls, and if you want to pet them, this you have to do it like this.
Yeah,
Certain ones have little signs that say "Don't pet me" and stuff like that.
yeah,
And it was just kind of a cute little thing. They had like a parrot in there, and there was a chicken at some point, so I was like, "That's really interesting."
yeah. I
But
remember. Like I said, I remember there was one owl that had little like cloth hats made that you could put on its
mhm.
head, and the dude, this homeboy in front of me was just he was taking mad pictures, putting the different
Yeah.
hats on him. Hey,
Uh,
he paid his fee to get in. It's all good. The other cool thing is you remember outside in that shopping area. I forget the area we were in. I don't think it was Akihabara or anything, but there was an outside flea market going on.
oh
There
yeah,
was a
yeah, yeah.
bunch of booths. This is where I got my second REM figure
Hmm.
from there. I got it from there, and I was gonna get a Nico Robin, but I came back and I was like, oh, I'll get her after the cafe, like a fool, and she was gone. And someone had bought it.
Like the fuel that you are.
Yeah, and one of my favorite pictures I got from there, I think I threw it up on here, but there was a big owl. He was separated by himself. I don't remember there not being a sign to touch it, but I like he was kind of moving a bit, so I wasn't gonna fuck with him. But he was just
Hmm.
staring a hole through the window at the flea market, and I've got a picture of him looking down, looking like soon, like he just wants to swoop down in there. But yeah, that was super cool. Just seeing because we didn't go to any like a maid cafe or the bunny cafes, but like you know what,
Yeah, right,
fucking
right,
owls, man, you gotta love some owls,
right.
right? I'm down
Yeah,
with some
yeah.
owls. So
It was enjoyable. It was a nice little experience
yeah,
with nature.
and
Um,
I was,
then
yes,
the thing that you had been waiting on
my
for quite a while.
like one of my first demands were
Hmm.
like I have to do this. Didn't happen till our last day in Japan. I
Hmm.
wanted authentic Japanese ramen. I wanted to hit a ramen shop, and we did. And like like I know if I go back, like in my mind, I'm like I want the most traditional, your standard bowl. You know what I mean? And just see what standard, what the base of what created ramen. So I got a very standard this beef. I believe it had some beef in there, ramen, and I got some gyoza, some little dumplings,
Mm-hmm.
and like a big bowl of that. And they would offer like if you had a lot of broth. I remember they would like, do you need another thing of noodles? Like hell yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I remember it being like for that. I mean, I think it was less than $10. You
Yeah.
know,
That's one of the really great things about the cuisine over there is like it's very inexpensive. Like you'll go out to a restaurant here and it's like, oh, your meal was $50 plus tip or whatever, and I don't think they actually do gratuity over there because they're actually
no,
paid like a living wage
you
and
do
everything.
not like tip. Like
Yeah,
Brian warned us that
yeah,
ahead of time, and I'd heard that
yeah.
before, but I didn't know like if
Mhm.
that was like an old wives' tale or something. But no, like stories of like a waitress or a waiter will chase you down the street to give you back the tip if you left money like on the table.
Yeah,
And there's no gratuity
yeah.
because yeah, like you said, they're paid a living wage over there. Like they make an appropriate amount of money for their job.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I fucking love the ramen. I think it was both of our first times having authentic
Yeah.
ramen,
Yeah.
and that was really kind of like putting the cap on the whole trip. Like, we went to a lot of other like stores and stuff like that we didn't really mention, but I
Right.
mean the big takeaway is like Japan was just awesome. It's the people are great. The just the culture in general is so fascinating and amazing, and it's just such a pleasant, refreshing trip to go on and just
Yeah.
experience and just live, for a certain amount of time. It was
Uh,
just a lot of fun.
I definitely
Uh,
want to throw out. Do you remember what we did the last day? But like before packing up and going to our plane.
did we walk to 7-Eleven?
Well, of course,
Oh
that was
yeah,
every
yeah,
day.
yeah,
But
yeah,
before
yeah.
7-Eleven
We
opened, because like
oh
Japan
these
doesn't open up
these
until 9 or so.
these fucking assholes got me up at the crack ass of dawn because where our Airbnb is we were right next to one of those like the river,
Yeah,
and it had that whole like um, big like hill thing that you walk up. So we basically walked up the hill and down the trail, and we watched the sunrise. Yeah,
dude. Like
and
I don't. You call us assholes all you want, bro. If we
yeah,
had a
no, it was awesome.
fourth person out there and took a
Yeah,
picture, it
yeah,
was like a fucking anime ending of
yeah,
like just
oh
the
yeah.
three of us standing there. Like that was beautiful and cold
Yeah.
as shit because the
Yeah.
water and everything. But
Well, like
like,
the wind was biting my face, Sean. It
dude,
was so
I don't
cold.
care. That was
But
I don't.
no,
Your
yeah.
suffering was worth it for me. And
It was awesome. It was
uh,
totally worth it.
it was, and I think that was Brian's idea. And like love Brian to death, of course, man.
Hmm.
But like,
Yeah.
it was a surprising emotional idea for him, and
Yeah.
like he was.
Yeah.
I think Brian got a lot. He'll deny it. I don't care. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Like I think he's been to Japan so many times. It's not a big deal to him anymore. But I think he even maybe offhandedly has mentioned seeing our excitement made him like really happy that he was able to help us out.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
like,
No, it was
and
awesome.
forever grateful for this. But yeah, that was it. That was the last day. We did one more trip to 7-Eleven. I think 'cause I had to get some candy for my nieces and nephew. I think
Hmm.
we got I picked up last little souvenirs from friends because I was like, hey, I told my friends I'm getting y'all souvenirs, but I'm buying my shit first.
Hmm.
So if I got
Hmm.
money left, you're getting gifts. That's usually how it
Hmm.
goes. And
Yeah.
yeah, flight. No, got back to Japan. Got back to America. Uh,
Mhm.
Not to get like political, but if y'all remember, we are saying this was 4 years ago, so we knew what country we were coming back to.
Yeah.
Super worried about getting back in the country if I'm going to be honest.
Mhm.
But got back in, no problems. The
Yeah.
TSA was super. Actually, he was really friendly. It was just like, guy had a bag like with the candy and some snacks. And he's like, "You got any meat or vegetables in there?" I was like, "No, Kit Kat, sir." He goes, "You good, man?" I'm like, "All
Mhm.
right, cool."
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drove back from Chicago. And
Sean slept back from Chicago. Let's
no,
be
I
honest,
drove.
okay?
No, I drove a little.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
you did
sacked
do. You
up.
did
I sacked up and did my.
do
I
good at driving.
yeah, like I did the first little leg of it, so
Yeah,
Brian could
yeah,
sleep and you could sleep. But again,
yeah,
I was like, I didn't get no sleep on the plane right back. Still hot. Still didn't know how
yeah.
to turn on the fucking air, and of course didn't ask anybody because I'm me. I don't want to disturb anyone in their life.
Mhm,
And dude, it's I love this time of year because we get the
mhm.
memories on Facebook and to bother our friends with it.
Oh yeah,
And it's still been, because it's 4 years. It's going to be
yeah.
like, I was supposed to go back this last November
Hmm.
because I foolishly wanted to believe America would get their in the world. And this, we're not getting our shit together, of course. I'm not trying to get too deep onto that or anything. But like, the world is
Hmm.
still shut down. And couldn't go. Couldn't go. I still
Hmm.
haven't been back. I'm going back. There's no
Yeah,
doubt in my mind. As soon as this shit gets under control again, I gotta go back. There's
yeah,
still
and
so much to see.
yeah, and for me, like one of the great things about it is, I meet new people, make new friends all the time, and everything, and like, of course, adding people onto Facebook, and people will ask me about the photos, and I like absolutely love talking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Just bringing back those memories and everything, because it was just such a great experience, and yeah, it's absolutely a trip that I would take again,
Yeah,
100%.
we're definitely gonna make it happen. But
Yeah.
y'all, we've kept y'all for over 2.5 hours. I apologize, and at the same time, I'm not fucking sorry. I love this trip, Jerry. I was so happy you could
Oh
go
yeah.
with me, and
Oh yeah, me too.
Brian, Becky, Michelle, just everybody who was there with us
Mm.
made it great. The people warm, welcoming. Only one angry drunk at a train station was the only aggression we saw the entire time.
Hmm.
And beautiful country, welcoming people, and yeah, if you ever have the chance to go, whatever means, just fucking do it. I don't care if it's for a few days. Just go to Japan. It's amazing.
Hmm.
All right, my voice is dying here. My sinuses have been killing me. I ran out of water like an hour ago. Any last thoughts, brother?
No, nothing for me. I have said my piece. It was a fantastic trip, and yeah, I would totally recommend. Like, if it's something you're interested in, just go for it, man. Make that jump. Just save up and get out there. See the world.
Man, for sure. Well, as always, if you liked what you heard and you actually made it to the end of this video, please give us a comment below saying, I'll do like some of my YouTuber do. I doubt anyone will. If you made it to the end of this video, just go in the comments and type Osaka Waffle Walk because
Yes.
that's our thing. And we love y'all. Thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and yeah, we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.